Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Irish Breakdown Podcast. I'm Vince D'Addario. That's Trevor Trowbridge, and we are back. It is Monday. It is Buy, Sell, Hold Day, and, of course, we are brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Can't forget that part. It's very important, and it says it right up there, FanDuel. But anyway, we are back with a Buy, Sell, Hold. Once again, just to remind everybody, Buy, Sell, Hold is for our premium message board subscribers. If you want to be a part of the show, you must be a member of our message board at boards.irishbreakdown.com. You submit your question. We turn it into a card. We put it up on the show, and you guys drive the bus from there. If you are not a premium message board subscriber and you want to get a buy, sell, hold in there, you are more than welcome to do so, but it does have to be a super chat. This is not a Friday free-for-all mailbag. Those are on Fridays, obviously. When anything goes, you can put whatever you want in there, and you don't have to be a message board subscriber. But today is our day for the subscribers. And so make sure you get over there. And another benefit, of course, Trevor, because it is the forefront of all three of our minds right now, the benefit of being a subscriber is you get access to our preseason magazine, which is real close to being completed, by the way. We are working very diligently on the editing side of things, a couple more articles to write, things like that. But the goal is to get this thing out sooner rather than later. And if you are a message board subscriber, it comes with your subscription. It is not an extra fee, but it is also not available to the regular folks out there. You must be a board member at boards.irishbreakdown.com. So you want to make sure that you get that done so you get access to our over 130-page preview magazine. Very excited about it. So much hard work has gone into it. It's kind of our baby right now. We're like three men and a little baby, and we're ready to roll with this thing, and it's very exciting. So you definitely want to check that out. We are a week and a half away from training camp starting up. We got all kinds of things in the hopper ready to roll here. Marcus Freeman's press conference is next Tuesday. Practice starts next Thursday. It's just so much going on, Trev. How are you doing today, man?
Look, man, I woke up a little groggy today. Busy weekend, but our girl Karen had to remind us 41 days till Notre Dame kicks off. And even less time than that till just college football is back on our screens. And
facts.
Look, man, I'm to the point where I just need football back in my life in some capacity. So it's all moving real quick. I'm excited for buy, sell, hold. I was going through the cards.
Oh, cheater.
I know. I was looking at it, but you guys have been bringing it all off season, and today was no exception. So we got 38 cards in there today, so we'll make sure that we dive into that. But Vince, we're good, man. I'm just ready to talk some ball. Definitely.
I hear you. It is the tail end of July. This is about the time where we all start to yearn for some actual football. So I'm there with you, and it can't come too soon. But today, like I said, it is the subscribers day. It is buy, sell, hold day, and we're going to jump right into it with card number 1. From Salty Virginia Peanuts, the SEC made a serious mistake by selling 100% of its media rights to ESPN as the first conference to make such an arrangement. They lost all potential bargaining power. The Big Ten, Notre Dame, and other conferences could subsequently negotiate for more lucrative media contracts, knowing that the other media had no choice but to meet those demands if they wish to secure their own slate of games. In negotiations, he who is the first to name a number loses.
I mean, potentially, I definitely understand the point that you're trying to get to here, Salty. But, I mean, the other piece of that, too, is, yes, they made the mistake in giving away 100% of their media rights, but also the SEC is doing one heck of a job of making sure that the product they put out onto the field every single week is top-notch. When I mean product on the field, I'm not talking about postseason wins. I'm not talking about playing for national championships, because we've talked a lot on this show. SEC has gone 3 years without playing for a title. You know, Georgia, the SEC champs of back-to-back years, have been a one and done in the playoffs and lost in their first appearance. But you start going through the regular season schedule, you know, there's going to be sneak preview here. We just got done talking about the magazine. There's going to be an article that I'm writing just about the best games of the college football season, kind of week over week. And we're talking best non-conference games, best conference games. The best conference games outside of basically Ohio State's regular season schedule belong in the SEC. And I know that's kind of giving you guys a window and a peek behind the curtain. But look, man, there's there are pros and cons to it, but if you're going to sell your soul out to ESPN, you better make sure that the product you're putting on the field is great. And I mean, on a week to week basis, I mean, week 3, you're getting LSU at Ole Miss. Week 4, you get Oklahoma at Georgia and Texas A&M at LSU. Week 6, you get Georgia at Bama and the Red River Shootout. And week 7, you get you switch over to the Big Ten, you get Ohio State at Indiana. But then you're back to week 8, you get A&M at Bama. The list goes on and on and on. And so the SEC definitely carries the weight of really putting together a really good slate week over week. So I guess glass half full, if you're going to basically completely sell out your rights to one media company, make sure that the product you're putting out there is a good one to watch. That's something that I think the Big Ten needs to take a lesson in learning. But yeah, I mean, I would say that Notre Dame and the Big Ten and some of the other conferences out there have more of a hand to negotiate, I guess you could say. What do you think, Vince?
This is an interesting one. As I was reading it, my mind first went to Notre Dame and their deal with NBC way back when. And they were the first ones to do it. And I realized they're not a conference. I get that. But they put all their chips in the NBC basket, right? And or all their eggs in the NBC basket. And I think it's worked out very, very well for them. I realize also that Salty is talking about an entire conference, and which is different than what Notre Dame did. But it's not always a bad thing to be the one that paves the way. Like, I don't really have an issue with that. And let's be honest, the ESPN SEC marriage has been very beneficial for both. I mean, I don't see how either one has suffered. ESPN has gone out of their way to talk very, very positively about the SEC. We have gotten all good SEC games on ESPN, and we get to watch good games. I mean, I don't see the negative. Now, I also understand where he's coming from, that other conferences are able to split between some other, TV entities and what that looks like and how it could be more profitable and things of that nature. I get it. For me personally, I'd almost want to just, it's kind of like you stick with the one that you brought, you stick with your dance partner. I don't have a problem with being tied to one entity as a conference. I really don't have an issue with that. It's almost like it's kind of your conference. And I mean, sorry, it's your media entity for the most part. I mean, would anybody argue with the fact that ESPN could rename themselves the SEC network? I mean, like that is who ESPN is for the most part. And yes, they carry other things. They carry other games. They do other stuff, but they're SEC all the way. And so I think it's worked out pretty well for both. Again, there could be some dollars and cents that go a different direction, but I tip my hat to Trailblazers. I like that idea. A Notre Dame to NBC, SEC to ESPN, whatever the case may be. And so I dig it. I dig it. It gets too confusing for me on the front of when there's multiple media entities on, for multiple conferences, and it's just it's too much for me. I like the SEC, ESPN. Okay, we got it. That's who you're married to. Let's roll.
And it's not like it hasn't played a benefit to them either. They had 5 teams in the playoff last year, and you could argue 2 of them didn't really have that strong of an argument to be in there. But college football playoff lives on ESPN and all that, so definitely all plays a factor. I'm with you completely.
Danny Redlegs. No idea what that name means, but I like it. Charlie Partridge is making Notre Dame D-line university. Buy, sell, hold that one.
Buy on the recruiting trail, hold on the field. Look, I love what Charlie Partridge has done on the recruiting trail, but you guys know me by now, and I'm a see it person. And I'm willing to project that I think the defensive line is going to be really good this upcoming season. But before I can tab somebody as being like the pioneer of D-line U, I need to see it in a game first. They looked really promising in the spring. We can already check off the recruiting box trail, considering they've already gotten Abraham Cisse and Aiden O'Neal and Jackson Vaughn and David Folarunshu. And you know what I mean? The list goes on and on. Braden Parks just recently committed. Darian Prescott makes his decision later this afternoon, so we'll see where the chips fall there. So on the recruiting trail, yeah, I think Notre Dame is very, very rapidly ascended to one of the teams to beat for top defensive line prospects on the recruiting trail. But ultimately, the culmination is the product on the field. Because if you would have just told me big picture what the recruiting trail was for like the Notre Dame quarterbacks, winning like back-to-back classes, you signed like Everett Golson, then Malik Zaire, then Brandon Wimbush, and that, I would have been like, dude, is Notre Dame on their way to being quarterback U? And based on their play on the field, I don't know if they lived up to that expectation necessarily, because then you start getting into development and how they perform in the biggest moments. But he's definitely on his way there. Would not shock me if very quickly into the season, and by the time the regular season is over, my answer changes. But I'm buying on the recruiting trail and then holding right now product on the field. But that's a very loose hold. That's how I view it.
Yeah, it's a hold for me. I need to see, like, what I care about right now is what happens on the field. I mean, look, recruiting is very, very important. It is what we get our most views on when it comes to videos and things of that nature. And I think that's awesome. Recruiting is very, very important. And Marcus Freeman has made a point that recruiting is the lifeblood of this program. It's not going to be in the transfer portal. And so what they're able to do on the recruiting trail is epically important, right? I mean, they've got, the D line, they've gotten 10 guys, 10 defensive tackles, 10 defensive ends over the last two classes. Is a better haul than anybody in the country. And so it is very, very impressive. And we'll see here at 1:00, what happens with the first defensive lineman making a commitment in the 28 class. And so I think he's knocking the ball out of the park when it comes to recruiting. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to develop these guys. You need to coach them up, and I need to see some really good things on the field. So I'm excited about it. I think he will do well on the field, but it's a hold for me until I see it.
Yep.
And so I'm with you on that one.
Vince,
right.
I want to ask this one for you. I want to get your thoughts on this.
All right.
So this is buy one, sell one, hold one. If you could only change one of these outcomes. So option number one is the tush push against USC, the Bush push, really. Option number two is one of last year's first two games, either Miami or Texas A&M. And option number three is Coach Freeman's game against Ohio State in South Bend in 2023.
I mean, I would like to change all of them, obviously. I mean, those were all devastating losses in one way or another that affected the future of Notre Dame. And so it's interesting for me because it's like, Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies. I like time travel movies, and specifically that one. And, you go back and you change one thing in the past, and it could change things in the future. You know what I mean? And so, when I first read this question, it was like, well, it's the Bush push. Like, that's what I'm changing. Like, I was on the sideline for that one. I saw it happen 15 yards in front of my face, and it was awful. And I wanted that game so badly. I thought Notre Dame had won that game. I was on the field celebrating when the PA announcer told everybody to come back off the field and onto the sideline because time had not ticked down to all zeros. And so that's the one that just lives in my soul. And so that's the one I would change. The problem is if you change that one, Charlie Weiss may stick around longer. That might change history a little bit. And maybe if that happens, then they don't hire Brian Kelly when they do, and then Brian Kelly doesn't hire Marcus Freeman as DC, and then he doesn't get the head coaching job, et cetera, et cetera. But with all of that, withstanding, I'm changing the Bush push. Like that is too iconic for me. I realize the changing one of the games last year gets them into the playoff, and who knows what happens at that point. Beating Ohio State would be unbelievable. That's the dragon that Marcus Freeman hasn't slayed yet. Is Ohio State. That's why when we get all these questions about who would you rather beat, in the playoff, it's always Ohio State for me because they haven't beaten them yet. They're 0-3. And that's who you want to beat. You want to beat the best to be the best. And so it's Bush push, but I understand why anybody would go with the other one. So if I'm going in order, I'm buying the Bush push. I am going to hold the first one of the two games because that puts them in the playoff and they got a chance for a title. And I'll sell the Ohio State game in South Bend.
I like it. What's interesting is there's a strong counter argument to each of these. For
Yes,
like
there is.
if you buy one of last year's first two games, are we having conversations this year about Notre Dame being a favorite on FanDuel to win the national title? Because if there's no revenge tour to talk about, maybe not. The same thing for all these other ones. But having said that, I am going to buy one of last year's first two games and changing the outcome there, because I firmly believe Notre Dame could have won a title last year. They were one of the 5 hottest teams in college football last year, and they were not 5th. And I think that out of all the teams that Indiana faced in the postseason, outside of Miami in the title game, Notre Dame could have gave them a run for their money. I liked how Notre Dame matched up there. It was unfortunate to not be able to see them in the playoffs, but it is what it is. I'm going to hold the Bush push. I don't know if Notre Dame would have won a title in 2005, but I think they would have played for one. But I don't know if they beat Texas, that Vince Young Texas team. I think it would have looked very similar to how the Notre Dame USC game in 2005 ended up playing out anyways. Notre Dame would have been able to hang with them and score with them on offense. But I just don't know if that defense would have been able to stop Vince Young. And then the only reason why I'm selling the Ohio State game, that one's painful. I was there. The roller coaster of emotions that I went through, of like getting the stop on that 4th down play on that jet sweep, to having the opportunity to put the game away and you basically go 3 and out, to then Ohio State converting like a 3rd and 19, a 4th and 7. You run out 10 guys onto the field in back-to-back plays out of timeouts. Like, I would have loved to change that outcome for my sanity. But in terms of Notre Dame's season, do they still lose to Louisville? Would they still lose to Clemson? I don't know that. But what I do know is if they wouldn't have lost to Miami or Texas A&M last year, they would have been in the playoffs. I know that if you change the outcome of the Bush push, they probably would have played for a national title in 2005 as well. I can't definitively say that about 2023. So I'm buying the first 2 games last year, holding the Bush push from 05, and then selling the Ohio State game in 23. Although that game holds a very dark place in my memory because that was rough. That was so rough.
Yeah, and Anthony says that the Bush push doesn't change anything about Notre Dame history. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't change anything about Notre Dame history. Change things in my history. And the question was asked to me. So there you go. D-Troll Hunter, buy, sell, hold. Lane Kiffin actually means it when he says he regrets his Ole Miss exit. His messy, probably Ole Miss exit.
Yeah, I sell. I mean, could he? Maybe, but I think now, after some of the just bananas things that have come out of the SEC and different coaches, athletic directors, and all that this offseason, I think now they're trying to go on this like PR campaign type of rebuild. And so, do I think he actually means it? Probably not. There's a chance that he could. I don't know Lane Kiffin. I don't know him personally, but kind of reading the tea leaves, I think this was more of a PR type of thing than it was like I actually regret it. So I sell it.
Well, that's a huge sell. Lane does Lane, and that's all that matters. And the only thing he regrets would be my guess about the messy Ole Miss exit is the fact that it made him look bad. That's it.
Yeah.
And not even that he worries about that, because if you look at his history and the different places that he's been, I don't think he necessarily cares a whole lot about looking bad. But at the same time, he doesn't want to mess up his PR image. So I think that's what he regrets. I don't think he regrets the actual situation itself. But again, I don't know him. I don't know him that well. So I'll leave it at that. Buy, sell, hold. Austin Mack starts the season as Alabama's quarterback.
I'm actually going to buy that. I think Keelan Russell's the more talented player, but Kalen DeBoer's tenure so far in Tuscaloosa has been very conservative. Austin Mack was the guy that he recruited to be the heir apparent to Michael Penix when he was at Washington. And so I think that he's going to go with him. Now, having said that, if Austin Mack starts the season, I think it will come to a point that Keelan Russell ends up taking over for him. But I'm going to buy that for now. Kalen DeBoer doesn't strike me as the kind of guy of like the decision that Marcus Freeman made last year of going with the older player versus the younger guy with the higher ceiling in CJ Carr. I don't know if Kalen DeBoer is going to be that type of head coach. He could be, and he could prove me wrong. But as of today, I think I'm going to buy that.
Yeah, I love that answer. So we'll let that stand. Buy, sell, hold. TCU and Josh Hoover will split. TCU and Josh Hoover split will end up being a win-win scenario.
I guess I would have to do a little bit more research on who's taking over at TCU. I'm going to look that up right now. I mean, off the rip, I do think it's a strong benefit for IU. They're getting a different type of player than what they had last year in Fernando Mendoza. Not good, not bad, just different. I think Josh Hoover is a little bit more of a gunslinger. Fernando Mendoza was more of a leader, system quarterback, and people hear system quarterback and they assume that that's bad. It's not bad in the slightest. You can win national titles, you can win Super Bowls with a system quarterback. You can play for championships and Super Bowls with a system quarterback. But Fernando Mendoza was able to capitalize on being a part of a really, really good team. Josh Hoover gives, I would argue that he has more of a higher talent ceiling than what Fernando Mendoza had, but I don't know if he's going to be the better quarterback, if that makes sense.
Turns the ball over a lot.
I know. I'll be very interested to see what he does with a better offensive line and an actual run game to give him support. Looks like the quarterback this year for TCU is going to be Jaden Craig, who transferred in from Harvard last year. So
Harvard.
Yeah, I'm going to sell that it is going to be a win-win. I think if there is going to be a win, I think it's going to be Josh Hoover going to Indiana, because as of right now, I'm a prove it guy and I got to see it guy. And Kurt Cignetti has shown that he can take two quarterbacks and turn them into playoff caliber quarterbacks. He did it with Curtis Rourke coming over from Ohio, and then obviously Fernando Mendoza coming over from Cal. I have a lot of concerns about an Ivy League quarterback going and joining the Big 12. Now, I think that's a massive step up. So that's where I'm at with that one.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Josh Hoover at IU. He's a different type of quarterback than both Rourke and Mendoza. And, I'm referring to the turnovers and things of that nature. And, will Kurt Cignetti be able to kind of tone that down? If he can tone down the turnovers, then Josh Hoover will be fine at IU. I mean, there's plenty of talent around him, for them to win games and do all of those kinds of things. But at the same time, it's tough to take the gunslinger out of the gunslinger. You know what I mean? And so I'm very curious to see how this works and see if Cignetti can go 3 for 3 with quarterbacks transferring in. And the problem for me was that the transfer quarterback pool this year was not great overall. Yeah, Darian Mensah was obviously really good, but even his move to Miami is a kind of a wait and see kind of a situation, because it's a different situation than being at Duke, etc. But the rest of the guys that were in the portal, I got a lot of questions about a lot of those guys. Now, if anybody's going to be able to get a quarterback moving in the right direction, then it's going to be Kurt Cignetti based on the last couple of years. But can he go 3 for 3? Can he, turn Josh into a guy that needs to kind of stay within the realm of the offense and just move the ball and let the defense do some work and, things of that nature? It's going to be fun to watch. I mean, I don't know the answer to it, but it's going to be fun to watch.
The biggest key for Josh Hoover is being better on the road. He was not a good road quarterback last year. And with the schedule that IU has this year, they play on the road. They get Michigan on the road, Nebraska on the road. They get Washington on the road. Thankfully, they get Ohio State and USC both in Bloomington. But Josh Hoover threw 13 interceptions last year. 10 of them came on the road.
Oh.
And so as long as he can be a better road quarterback, I mean, he threw a pick on the road against North Carolina in the opener, but I mean, he completed 75% of his passes, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. I'm not dogging on him for that, but
yeah.
On the road against Arizona State, no touchdowns, 2 picks. On the road against Kansas State in a 41-28 loss, he had 2 picks. On the road against BYU, he completed 43.5% of his passes, 2 picks. In just an ugly game against Houston on the road, he completed 72% of his passes, but also threw 3 picks. He's just got to, if he can clean up the mistakes on the road, I think Josh Hoover could have a good season with Indiana. But I will say that was the one thing that Curtis Rourke and Fernando Mendoza didn't bring to the table. Now, to your point, different styles of quarterback. Sure. I'll be interested to see how Sig handles that, though, for sure.
Would you say that Rourke and Mendoza are closer to each other than Hoover is to either one?
Yeah, without a doubt. They're both yes, in that they're both system-esque, but Fernando Mendoza, I thought, provided a little bit more with his legs than either Hoover or Rourke did.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Josh Hoover, for him, it's just if you can limit the bad mistakes on the road, I think he's going to have a pretty good season.
Okay. But well, they got 8 home games, so that definitely bodes in their favor. All right, from D-Troll Hunter, buy, sell, hold. Florida might not have the best skill offensive position group at any position, but it is a contender for being one of the best overall offensive skill position groups in the nation.
Yeah, I buy that. Some of its parts are better than any individual piece. I'm with that. I mean, you look at their wide receiving core, they have Vernell Brown coming back. They got Eric Singleton out of the portal. Dallas Wilson comes back at running back. Jaden Baugh, one of the better running backs in the SEC. They also got Evan Pryor out of the transfer portal. He comes in from Cincinnati. I believe he also used to play at Ohio State. So yeah, I mean, I'll be very interested to see what they can do with, I believe, Georgia Tech's. I think Buster Faulkner's their offensive coordinator now. Aaron Philo comes over, follows him, so there's going to be some continuity there. So yeah, I would buy that. It's one of those very similar to how I talk about Notre Dame's wide receiving core. They might not have a Jeremiah Smith or a Cam Coleman or one of those, but I think the sum of its parts make it a very, very dynamic wide receiver room. And I feel the same way about Florida's skill position as a whole. I think you're onto something there, D-Troll.
Buy, sell, hold. Houston is a good enough team to win the Big 12 this season.
Absolute buy. First of all, the Big 12 is completely wide open. You start talking about the contenders in the Big 12. Off the top of my head, you got Texas Tech, who I still think, despite not having Brendan Sorsby, probably still has the best roster top to bottom in the Big 12. I think they're going to have a very dynamic running back room with Cameron Dickey coming back. And, I think their wide receiving room is going to be just fine. Offensive line is going to be probably the best in the Big 12. Defensively, I think they're going to be fine. You have BYU, who they have facets of their team that I think are top level, like their cornerback duo, really their secondary as a whole. I like their linebacking core. Questions about them in both trenches, questions of the perimeter skill on offense, but they're going to be in that conversation. Does Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham bounce back with Cutter Boley coming in at quarterback? You brought in Amarion Miller and Reed Harris, a wide receiver. What does Colin Klein do at Kansas State with Avery Johnson? So there's a lot of contenders in there, but look, man, Willie Fritz took that team. I think they went from 4-8 to 9-4 in 1 year, and they returned a good bulk of their production, including quarterback Connor Wegman. So that's a buy for me as well. Big 12 is wide open, and I think Houston could absolutely contend for it. I mean, if you would have asked me last year if the winner of the Big 12 was going to be Texas Tech, I'd be like, I think you're drinking a little bit too much of the Cody Campbell Kool-Aid. Like, their portal acquisitions, and then they went out and won it. I thought last year the Big 12 championship, I think I predicted the Big 12 championship game was going to be Arizona State and Kansas State was out of contention for the Big 12 after they lost to Army. But you know what I mean? So that's where I'm at with that one.
All right. Love that. Yeah, I agree. The Big 12 is wide open this year. No doubt about it. You could make a case for probably half the teams, if certain things go right and schedules and all of those kinds of things. And so, yeah, Big 12 is going to be a fun one to watch, actually. I don't think the Big 12 champion, whoever that is going to be much of a contender for the national championship. But they'll get in, and we'll see where they get slotted.
100%.
Another one from D-Troll Hunter. Missouri loses to all of their preseason ranked opponents they played this regular season. Note, Drinkwitz is currently 7-14 against ranked opponents at Missouri.
Well, let's see who is most likely going to be ranked, especially in the preseason. So at home, they get Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Troy, Florida, A&M, Texas, Kentucky, and Oklahoma. And then on the road, they get Kansas, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Georgia. So I think I'm pretty confident in saying A&M will be ranked in the preseason. So will Ole Miss, so will Texas, so will Georgia, and so will Oklahoma.
Yep. That's a lot of losses to not even come up with one of those.
I think the October 10th game against Texas A&M will be very, very telling. If they're able to give Texas A&M a game, then I think that there's a chance that they get a couple of ranked wins, especially in conference. If they lose to Texas A&M at home and it's not close, I could see this coming true. So I just don't know if I see him going 7-5. What is his record? Eli Drinkwitz record. So the last couple seasons with Missouri, he has gone 8-5, 10-3, 11-2, 6-7, 6-7, 5-5, dating back to 2020. I'm going to sell it. I think odds are they'll get one.
Yeah, agreed. 5 is an awful lot. It's hard to go 0-5, and he's got enough talent there where 0-5 should not happen. I'm not saying he's going to beat all of the other 7 opponents that he's going to have, but I just feel like losing to all 5 of those is going to be tough to do.
Agreed.
So it's a sell for me as well. 13 reasons why buy, sell, hold. Notre Dame is more likely to flip a current linebacker than find a riser in the senior class for the 26 class. I think he means 27. 26 is already on campus.
Yeah. I'll buy that, though. I think that they're going to continue working on Caden Henderson. They're going to try to, they're still going to keep recruiting him. I mean, if Notre Dame is a recruiting powerhouse that I believe them to be, I don't think that they're just going to be like, well, I guess he's just going to go to Texas A&M now, right? Like, there's still 5 months until National Signing Day.
Correct.
So they're gonna stay on kids like that. So yes, I buy that.
And then another one from 13 reasons why linebacker is the only position in 27 that Notre Dame is looking to add.
I'll buy that, but if another player like maybe in the secondary comes along,
right?
Like
exactly.
they're not going to add anybody in the trenches on either side of the ball. That would shock me.
Yes,
they're not going to add any more linebackers,
defense, yeah.
Right? Like they're not going to add they're not going to add any running backs. Maybe if the right wide receiver comes along, or maybe if another tight end comes along, and then maybe if another defensive back comes along. But I think the only position that they're actively looking to add somebody is at linebacker. They want a 2-man class this year. So
this is a sell for me because I think I think they're looking at senior film. I really do. And I think that if somebody pops, they could offer a scholarship. Like I could absolutely see it. So I'm going to sell it just because I think that they're working a little overtime to just make sure that this 27 class is what everybody thinks that it is and all of those different things. And if they pull somebody out of the weeds that is maybe not on the radar right now, it would not surprise me. And so I think all things are on the table right now. Now, is linebacker the number one thing that they're looking for? Absolutely. But I don't think that's the only thing that they're looking to do. I think they've got their ear to the ground. If something comes up with the position groups that you referred to, then great. If it doesn't, not a big deal. But I think that they're always looking. I don't want to sell the recruiting department short at Notre Dame. I think they're always looking.
Yeah, definitely always looking to add talent. Like right now, I'm looking on Rivals on 3 industry ranking. Notre Dame is number 2. And then on 247 Sports, they're also in their composite rankings number 2. So, yeah, they're not doing too bad following up the number 1 overall class in the country. That ain't too shabby.
Right. All right, BJM 41, buy one, sell one, hold one, add to the 26 team. J-Love, Michael Floyd, or Quentin Nelson?
What do you think, Vince?
For me, look, all 3 of those guys are generational positions that are generational players at their position. There's no doubt. Any one of the 3 of them could help you out. If you're asking me to come up with one of them, I am coming up. I can't turn down Quentin Nelson coming and holding down the line and doing what he does on the offensive line. And if Quentin Nelson is there, I don't need J-Love because I think there's enough talent in the running back room that if they're running behind Quentin Nelson, then good things are going to happen. And I think that CJ Carr is going to elevate the wide receiver room, not to the level necessarily of Michael Floyd, but Quentin Nelson would be my number 1. So what I would do is I would buy Quentin Nelson, I would hold Michael Floyd, and I would sell Jeremiah Love, believe it or not.
I would also sell Jeremiah Love, which pains me because he's one of the players that I wish we could watch win a title at Notre
100%.
Dame. I mean, let me insert that caveat from jump. But I would also sell Jeremiah Love. I'm with you. If the offensive line is what we think it is, even without Quentin Nelson, I think whoever's taking over at running back is going to be just fine.
Yep.
But I'm going to sell him. I'm actually going to buy Michael Floyd. My rationale, there's a lot of – I think the offensive line is going to do just fine, whether it's Sullivan Absher, whether it's Matty Augustine, whether Charles Jagasaw makes an appearance at some point this year. But there's no level, in my opinion, and I would love, love, love to be wrong about this, because if I am, this Notre Dame receiving corps is going to be disgusting this year. I don't see, even with like a massive step forward in development, that one of the boundary receivers between Quincy Porter, Cam Williams, and Micah Gilbert emulate what Michael Floyd did from 2008 to 2011. Now, I don't know if an offensive lineman is going to be able to be what Quentin Nelson was, especially in 2017, but the unit as a whole, I think, will be good enough that they'll be fine. So I would buy Michael Floyd, hold Quentin Nelson, sell Jeremiah Love. That's what I would do.
All right, buy one, sell one, hold one. Injured players that potentially have the biggest impact on the 26th season if they do not come back 100%. So your options are linebacker, KVA, wide receiver, Quincy Porter, and running back, Kedron Young. I feel like this is an easy one, but go ahead. I want to hear what your thoughts are on this one before I chime in.
Yeah, so I'm going to sell Quincy Porter. But it's tough because the argument that I would use to buy or hold Kedron Young, you could also say about Quincy Porter. But I think you have other options in the boundary than just Quincy Porter. I think that there's this idea amongst the fan base that if Quincy Porter isn't what we think that he could be, then the boundary position is doomed. And I don't think that it is. You still have Cam Williams. You still have Micah Gilbert. I think Jaden Greathouse and Mylan Graham could both do things in the boundary. So I don't think you'd be doomed. Now, go back to 2015. Your boundary receiver was Chris Brown, who was like maybe 6'2". So, like, they'll be fine, but you also don't have another 6'4" wide receiver in the room like that. I'm probably going to hold Kedron Young because he has a completely different running style than what the other running backs do. I mean, he's 5'11", 242. The other running backs are like 5'9", 5'10", little over 200 pounds. Yep. Then I'm buying KVA because he's that unicorn on defense.
Yep. That's 100% the order I was going to go in for very similar reasons. I think KVA is an integral part in what this defense does and how they will be successful. I think Kedron, look, no one is more bullish on Kedron Young than I am. I think that if he's healthy, he's the number 2 back, and I think he's going to lead the team in touchdowns and all of these different things. And so I'm hugely bullish on Kedron Young, but the difference is I think there's a bunch of talent in that room that could take what he does and be fine. And then Quincy Porter, look, we've never even seen him with a Notre Dame helmet on or a Notre Dame jersey as of yet, and there is talent in that room. Now, it's unproven talent. It's talent that has not stepped up yet, but the only guy of these three that we have seen play at a high level at Notre Dame in big moments is Kingston Viliamu-Asa. Like that, you need him. You need him badly if you want to be the defense that you think you're going to be. And so it's KVA, and then there's a Grand Canyon-sized chasm to the other two, in my opinion. So you and I have the exact same order for a lot of the same reasons. Buy one, sell one, hold one, dual threat champion college quarterbacks. Tim Tebow, Cam Newton, or Vince Young?
Oh boy. Like at Notre Dame or just in general of like
I think in general, like that, who would you want? Just in general.
That's tough. Right now, like my gut, I mean, ideally, I'd want to buy all three because in college, all three were spectacular. I'm not talking NFL career and what they went on to do after college. I'd probably. That's so tough.
It's tough.
I know. I don't want to sell any of these guys.
And it's also hard to not think about some of their post-college antics. And this one for me.
I know. Especially with the middle option, I'm with you.
That's what I was referring to. Yeah.
I'm probably gonna buy Vince Young because I think of the three, I think he had the most potential as a passer. Cam Newton could be in that discussion. Tim Tebow was not a good passer. I'm sorry.
He wasn't. He was an amazing leader.
Yes.
He was a leader. And that's the tough part for me is if I'm a coach, what do I want?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I want a leader. I want a leader on my team.
That's what's so tough because I'm buying Vince Young and then it's like, okay, what do I go with here? Am I holding Cam Newton in his overall skill set or am I going to hold Tim Tebow and the leadership he brings to the table? Because I don't know if you could talk about two polar opposite guys.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
yeah.
just from a skill set, strictly from a skill set standpoint, I'm probably going to buy Vince Young, hold Cam Newton, sell Tim Tebow.
I'm gonna buy Vince Young. He's obviously got a great name, but he's also, I agree with you, I think he's the most talented, top to bottom. But the leadership piece means something to me. That's why I'm gonna hold Tebow and I'm gonna sell Cam Newton. Because even in college, Cam Newton had his issues from a leadership standpoint and some off the field stuff. And I just look, even when Tim Tebow was doing his thing, he annoyed the crap out of me. It felt like a shtick at times, but he was such a good leader. He's such a good leader. Like, you want that on your team. And so, but I think Vince Young was also a great leader. So that's why Vince Young is my first, Tebow would be my second, and Newton would be my third. So yeah. How about this one? Buy one, sell one, hold one, pocket passing champion college quarterback, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, or Jameis Winston.
This one is easy for me. I'm buying Joe Burrow, holding Trevor Lawrence, and selling Jameis Winston in that order. But like, how Brian feels about John Elway is how I feel about Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, you could have inserted a lot of different names in there, and I'm probably still buying Joe Burrow. But especially at the college level, I just don't know if we're ever going to see an individual season like that again at that level. I mean, we might see it at like Western Kentucky, but I don't know to that degree if we'll be able to see it. But that's the order that I'm going with, Vince. What about you?
Yep, that's the exact order I was going to go with, too. I think Trevor Lawrence is a generational quarterback. There's no doubt about it. And I do like his legs more so than all three of these guys, or the other two, I should say. And so that's what makes it closer for me. I'm not married to any of the three of them. But what Joe Burrow did in that 1 year in college is just so impressive. It's better than what any of these other two did. And so if that's the Joe Burrow that I'm getting, then that's the one I want as my guy. So that's why it's the same order that's on here, the same order that you had. No doubt. I would say the gap between Burrow and Lawrence is closer for me than it is to you, but either way, I'm still ending up where you ended up. That's where I'm at.
Fair.
Okay, here we go. Both teams are undefeated, so buy, sell, hold places you'd want to watch Notre Dame play in person. A Penn State wideout, an LSU night game, or Florida in the swamp. Okay, this is a really good one because those are all three places that I would like to go at one point or another. It's kind of a bucket list type of situation. And you're saying both teams are undefeated, so that means the atmosphere is going to be really, really good as well. This may shock some people, but I'm going to buy the LSU night game, and I know that there's a lot of annoyance in the SEC that LSU gets all these night games in the first place, that kind of a thing. But that atmosphere is something else. The midfield logo is one of the best in college athletics, in my opinion. That eyeball with the faded paint, like go around the out like that. I don't know why, but I've always loved that logo in the middle of the field. Like, that's always been one of my favorite ones. I've always wanted to go to a night game at LSU. It's always been something that I've wanted to do. The swamp in Florida would be fantastic, but I don't want to do it in September or October. I want to do it in November so that it's not hotter than whatever down there. I'd like to make it bearable. So I'll go down there in November, but I would love to see Florida in the swamp. So I'll hold Florida, and then I'll sell Penn State. I just can't get on board with Penn State, and the whole whiteout thing confuses the crap out of me because they white out the stadium and then they wear navy blue. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And so if they were wearing all white and they whited out the stadium, that would make a lot more sense. But their whole shtick doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's wonderful, but that's a distant third for me.
Okay. I'm with you. I'm buying the LSU night game for sure. I think it would be awesome to go see a game down in Tiger Stadium, down in Death Valley. Not going to get into the debate of which one is the real one.
I know.
No dog in that fight, but I would absolutely love to go down there. I'm actually going to hold the Penn State whiteout, and then I'm going to sell Florida in the swamp. Here's why. For the majority of my lifetime, like, the Florida in the swamp hasn't had that, I don't know, like maybe like the luster, I guess you could say that it might for some like older college football fans. Because for like the majority of my lifetime, especially like I've been watching Notre Dame every year since like 2005. Keep in mind, I was 8 years old in 2005. And so, like, I remember a lot of Notre Dame things, but my knowledge of like college football, like nationally, didn't really start to grow until I got to like high school. And since then, Florida's had 4 double-digit winning seasons. And so it's like it didn't really have like the draw of like, dude, you're playing in the swamp. And it's like, well, yeah, it's like an 8-5 football team. So like I guess, but I think it'd be a cool environment. Having said that about Florida and the swamp, it's still a stadium I would like to go to. I would still like to see really all 3 of these, but I'm buying LSU, holding Penn State wide out, selling Florida in the swamp. But I don't do it with much conviction.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. So, like, the difference is when you said old college football watchers, I guess that would be me. Because back when I was a kid in the 90s, like, Florida was legit. Like,
Yeah.
it was Steve Spurrier with the visor, and I mean, Florida was legit. One of my best friends growing up was a Florida fan. It made no sense. We live in northern Indiana, but he was a huge Florida fan just because they were freaking good, and so we would watch Florida games. And they were just so good. And Steve Spurrier was so easy to hate because they were so good, and all these different things. And so, yeah, I just so that's my memory of what the swamp is. I totally get where you're coming from, though. They haven't been anything in quite some time. I get it.
And some of it too, it's like I know Penn State's not out here competing for national titles, contrary to what their fan base believes that they are. But like I remember, like in some of my more formative years, it's like you're hosting Ohio State in a ranked matchup in a whiteout, or like Michigan in like 2019 had to call a timeout on their first offensive play of the game because they like couldn't hear and get the call in. Like that's what I remember about Penn State whiteouts versus like Florida in the swamp. I can't remember turning on a game and like vividly remembering it's like, dude, like the swamp is going nuts right now. That's how but it's all close. Having said that, I would like to go to all 3.
Yes, I would like to make all 3 of them as well. Yeah, no doubt about it.
We got the buy, sell, hold here on the Irish Breakdown podcast, brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Got some really great submissions so far today, and I believe getting us kicked off here in the next part, got B-Jam and 41, keeping us rolling.
All right, buy, sell, hold. Miami run through smoke is one of the most underrated game day traditions. A lot of teams, including ND, copied it.
I didn't know that was something that originated with Miami. I'm not saying you're wrong, B-Jam, and I just didn't know that that's where it started. So
obviously I've been playing college football video game for a long time. They had they had Miami running out of the smoke a long time ago. And so I'll go ahead and give it to Miami that running through the smoke was kind of their thing. So I'll give it to them. I mean, it is one of the most underrated game day traditions. It doesn't seem like it took all that much forethought to come up with it, but nobody else did. And so they were first, I suppose. And so good on them, but it's a bunch of fire extinguishers spraying at your players. So I mean, I guess that's great. But it's cool. Running out of the smoke is cool, and you're right. Notre Dame copied it, and so did a lot of other schools. So yeah, I'll give it to them.
Did some quick research, and I'll buy this as well. Like it's underrated in that, like I hesitate to call it like a tradition.
Yeah, I know.
Like an entrance.
Right.
But I get where you're coming from. But fun fact, it originated in the 1950s.
Oh.
The school's transportation director, Bob Nallett, used fire extinguishers to create a cloud of smoke for pregame player introductions. And then it blew up in the 80s when they were on their rise to being a national powerhouse.
So it did start at Miami. Okay.
Yeah.
It did
start at Miami. Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
So
touche. Good for him. Transportation, they're real smart down there in Coral Gables. All right, buy one, sell one, hold one. Completely unfiltered, ask any question, and they give honest answers. Coach, you'd like to sit down with Lincoln Riley, Curt Cignetti, or Dabo Swinney?
Buy Lincoln Riley, hold Curt Cignetti, sell Dabo Swinney. I just don't think that there's anything that I'd be able to ask Dabo Swinney that he wouldn't answer honestly without having this caveat in here.
Yeah, that's facts. Yeah, that's a good point.
Like I feel like if I just sat down with him, if I ran into him, if I went to Kroger after the show today and I ran into Dabo Swinney, I feel like he would just be honest with me. My buy is Lincoln Riley because the first thing that I would ask him was, did you go take the USC job because you were afraid to play in the SEC?
Oh, it'd be great, wouldn't it?
And then the second question I would ask him is, did you play a big hand along with Jen Cohen to get the Notre Dame rivalry basically taken off of your schedule because you're afraid to play Notre Dame because you're tired of getting your teeth kicked in? So it's like, and then with Kurt Signetti, again, he strikes me as another one of those guys that it's like, I just don't know what unfiltered question I would ask him.
Because I think he believes everything that comes out of his mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything he says, he believes. I mean, you don't say stuff like he says it if he's not all in on it. You know what
100%.
I mean? Yeah. So I kind of put Kurt and Dabo in the same category as well on that one. Lincoln Riley's a poser, a liar, a politician, whatever negative connotation you want to put with Lincoln Riley. That's him, which is why he's by far the top of this list. I think Kurt and Dabo, like Dabo's kind of like the aw shucks honest guy. Kurt is the I'm so full of myself honest guy, but he believes everything he says. So it's like a different type of honesty, but it's still honesty. Like I still think you're going to get the same answers, if that makes sense.
Let me ask you this, throwing a curveball at you.
Okay.
Same question, but the three coaches in question are Lincoln Riley,
Kelly,
Lane Kiffin, and Steve Sarkisian.
Ooh. That's a good question. Lincoln Riley would still be the first one for me. It would still be my buy, but it makes it very interesting on the second and the third for sure. Steve Sarkisian's got a bunch of skeletons in his closet, so it might be fun just to asking him about his life outside of coaching.
Dude, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, for Lincoln Riley, it'd be all football. For Lane and Steve, it would just, I probably wouldn't even ask a single question.
You're right. That's 100% accurate. Like, I want to know about your personal life. Like, let's talk about party time. So I think you could put either one of those. I'd probably put Lane as my hold, I guess, and Steve as my sell, but it's very close on that regard. Yeah. I thought you were going to put Brian Kelly in the mix.
See, I thought about it, but I was like, especially for us as Notre Dame fans, that's such an easy buy.
It is a huge easy buy, yeah.
So I was like, let me throw a little curveball in here.
I dig it. I dig it.
Oh man,
it's good stuff though. Another one from BGM: buy one, sell one, hold one. Notre Dame players with most to prove. Jaden Greathouse, can he stay healthy? Was the 24 playoff run just an anomaly? Bryce Young, can he live up to the 5-star status? And will he provide a consistent pass rush? Or Aeneas Williams, a lot of national talk questioning our backfield. Is he ready to be the number one back?
I think I'm going to buy, hold, and sell it in this order. Because the difference for me between Bryce Young and Aeneas Williams is I don't think that this is their last year to kind of go out and prove something. Jaden Greathouse is walking into a season where it's like, let's just say hypothetically, and I'm not predicting this to happen. I think he's going to have a good year this year. But hypothetically, let's say Bryce walks into this season and he's like a good player, but isn't like a top 10 defensive end by the end of the year. And then he does that as a senior. I would have if Aeneas Williams isn't a Doak Walker Award candidate or like an 1,000-yard rusher in his first season as the primary ball carrier, I'm not going to be like, well, that experiment's done and over. If Jaden Greathouse doesn't legitimately contribute to the offense this year, it's like, so what are we waiting on then? Like in the 2027 offseason, are we still going to be talking about, well, hey, you remember that playoff game that one time? Yeah, he's got it, and which he does. But that's what makes this season such an important one for Jaden Greathouse. I think he has the most to prove on offense this year. So my buy is Jaden Greathouse. My hold is Bryce Young. My sell is Aeneas Williams.
Yeah, I think there's people that can pick up the slack for Aeneas Williams if he doesn't break out. And I don't for him, it would stink. But for Notre Dame, they'd be fine. Like, that's how I feel. I know a lot of people are very high on Aeneas Williams, but he would also be my sell just because of the talent that's in the room. Because I think there's a lot of it. I'm with you 100% on Bryce Young. This is not his make or break year. He's got more to come, and I think he'll be just fine. It's really unfortunate that Jaden Greathouse basically had a lost year last year when it comes to injury and everything else. And I realized he didn't produce in the first couple of games for whatever reason, breaking in a new quarterback, whatever. There could be a million reasons why it didn't happen, but last year was a completely lost year. Which is one of the reasons that I was hoping that they make the playoff, because it would allow him to go out there and play a little bit and maybe get back in the good graces of Notre Dame fans. Unfortunately, it was 8 more months of he better step up this year kind of talk because he hasn't done anything since, January of 2024. And it's unfortunate. So I agree with you on the order. I can't tell you how much I hope that Jaden Greathouse is at least, close to what he was when he was healthy. A hamstring is a terrible, terrible thing to come back from. Everybody comes back for it at a different pace. And it has just been a nagging problem for him. And a lot of it can be psychological too. You're afraid if you heat it up, you're going to get hurt again. And, that's a whole thing. So hopefully he's 100% physically healthy and then 100% mentally healthy on it as well. And he can show up and show out. And he doesn't even need to be the guy that he was in the playoff. Like, you could split time with Mylan Graham and still be really, really good. You know what I mean? Or they could find places to put him, to make him effective, or they can move other guys around and do some different things. Like, I just want him to be a significant part of the rotation. And if that's the case, to me, that's a success, but this is his year to do it.
I'm with you. If he was who he was against Louisville in 24, Texas A&M in 24, Florida State in 2024, just on a week-over-week basis, he's going to be a massive contributor in this year's offense. I'm with you. Yeah. Every single game doesn't have to be what he did to Ohio State.
100%. And we're going to have some interesting conversations in some post-game shows, when he, doesn't have 100 yards receiving against a certain team or whatever, leading up to in those first 6 games. What is his stat line going into the first 6 games? You know what I mean? And what does that look like, and who is he in the rotation? And I have a feeling there's going to be some very interesting conversations when it comes to all that.
I'm with you.
All right, from B. Jammin, most beloved all-time greats in the big 3 sports are, no one has anything negative to say about them: NBA David Robinson, NFL Walter Payton, and Major League Baseball Tony Gwynn.
I'm going to toss this one back to you, Vince. What do you think?
Man, this is asking us to go very, very deep into the annals of all 3 of these sports and coming up with, who these guys are. And putting a cell next to any one of these 3 guys means that we're saying something poor about them, I feel like. And I don't want to do that. But for me personally, I'm going to buy Walter Payton because Walter Payton is Walter Payton. He's one of the greatest to ever play the game at the running back position. And then obviously his life was cut short, and those kinds of things. And so, and he played for the Bears. Like, that's just, you're checking all the boxes for me. So Walter Payton is the number 1 for me. And he's got the Man of the Year award named after him. Like,
I was just about to say,
that's pretty legit. So that's a buy for me from Walter Payton. David Robinson was a good to semi-great player when he played, the Admiral and, all these different things, but it took until Tim Duncan showed up for them to win a title, the Twin Towers and all those kinds of things. And Tony Gwynn was one of the most pure hitters of all time. And so, these guys are all great guys. But I also have to take a look at what they did on the field, court, whatever. So I'm buying Walter Payton. I'm going to hold Tony Gwynn. I'm going to sell David Robinson on this one, just because of who they were. They're all great. I think that's we can establish they were all great humans. Like, that's great. And so I got to dig a little bit deeper to put them in an order. So that's my order.
No disagreements on my end.
All right. Monday, July 27th is National Chicken Fingers Day. So we're going to buy, sell, hold dips for chicken fingers: barbecue sauce, honey mustard, and ranch. And I'm about to just alienate some people, I'm sure, when I answer this question. So I don't know if you want to take it first or not, but
now I feel like you have to answer it first, because now I'm expecting some craziness.
Well, listen, honey mustard is by far my favorite dipping sauce. It can vary from place to place, but honey mustard is by far my favorite. So honey mustard is my buy. Ranch is such a generic situation. It's such a white guy thing to dip your chicken fingers into. Like, it just is. But I'm not a fan of barbecue sauce. So ranch has to be my hold and barbecue sauce is my sell. And I know that's going to mess with people. People are going to be mad at me, and I get it and I respect it. I'm just not a fan of barbecue sauce. So that's my sell.
Okay. Okay. What don't you like about barbecue sauce?
Just the flavor, and I know there's different variations of barbecue sauce, and like there's sweet, and there's all these other. I don't know. Barbecue sauce just never did it for me.
Okay. Well, hey,
I
we're
know,
all entitled to our own opinions.
I'm a weird guy. I told you,
Hey.
I'm alienating people on this one. I'm just saying.
I respect it because you spoke it out there. This is a pretty big podcast, and the fact that you're out here talking about you don't like Rocky, you don't like barbecue sauce, you don't like all that stuff, man. Good for you. I respect that.
Just alienating people left and right.
Having said that, I'm going to buy barbecue sauce. I'm going to hold ranch. I don't want to sell any of these, but here's where I am with ranch. I think if it's homemade ranch, it's very good. But like bottled ranch, like if I just go and get like Hidden Valley or like just a regular branded ranch at the store, it's fine. Big fan of homemade ranch. Honey mustard, I have to be in the mood for. Like when I'm in the mood for honey mustard, it rips. But like I never just have it on hand, I guess, if that makes sense. It'll be something like Lauren and I want to go get chicken tenders and I'm really craving some honey mustard. And so I'll go to the store and get it. But that's where I'm at.
I get it. My go-to is honey mustard. And like I said, it varies from place to place. Some places are really good. Some places aren't. I'm not going to throw anybody into the bus here, but it has to be. There's definitely some that are better than others. I'll just say that I will eat my chicken fingers naked before I put some sauces on there. So that's where I'm at. Pat Tillman deserves a day. The biggest pedal for CJ Carr: clutch, gas, or brake. This is an interesting way to look at things.
It is. I guess what would be like the clutch pedal? What would that signify?
Maybe that's like a neutral, maybe, because you use the clutch when you go from one gear to a higher gear, like from like 2 to 3, 3 to 4, like that kind of a thing. That's when you use the clutch.
Sure.
But you also use it to brake. So I'll look at it as like it's a I don't know, like a metaphor for easing from one level to the next, maybe.
That's what I was thinking, because it's like I get what the clutch does in a car, but I was like in football terms, I guess I don't really know what that translates to. But yeah, I'm buying gas.
Yes, agreed.
Having said all that, I'm buying gas and I'm selling brake, and whatever clutch is
that could be in the middle. Yeah, I agree.
I'm selling. Now, mind you, if we're taking clutch as like the literal term clutch of like he's going to be clutch in the biggest moments, then I would buy clutch and hold gas. But if we're talking cars and the actual function,
that's a good point.
Then I would hold clutch. That's where I'm at with this one.
Yeah, there's brake is the biggest sell of all time. Gas is the biggest buy of all time. Like when we talked to Mike Denbrock in the spring, I want to say it must have been pre Blue Gold game, or maybe it was post. I don't know. But we talked to Mike Denbrock, and somebody talked about him throwing the ball down the field. He just started laughing. He's like, yeah, that's CJ Carr. Like that's what he wants to stretch the field. He wants to make the big throw, that kind of thing. And so it's who he is. That's just his personality. He's not going to throw it into traffic in a negative way. He thinks he can complete the pass. You know what I mean? And so he's always going to be a gas guy, always. And that's what I want in my quarterback, as long as they can back it up with their physical ability. And I do love the fact that Bobo said, if Brake is a QB, it's JJ McCarthy. That's fantastic, by the way. That's a great comment. That's just a great comment. There's some pettiness in that comment, and I'm here for it. All right, buy, sell, hold. Ryan Grigson and Chuck Pagano should be in jail for ruining Andrew Luck's career.
I buy the principle. I don't know how much I put on like Chuck Pagano, because like in the NFL, it's not like college football where it's like the head coach has a hand in who gets acquired by the team. But the fact that guy was sacked 41 times in a season, twice is crazy. I mean, it's a generational talent in Andrew Luck. I mean, just the most NFL-ready quarterback coming out of college that people still talk about. Like, he's the catalyst. Like, people talk about, could he be the next Andrew Luck from a processing standpoint, from a decision-making standpoint, from an understanding of the offense perspective, and especially Ryan Grigson just absolutely drove his career into the ground. He got sacked so many times he lacerated a kidney. Okay? Like, they did him such a bad disservice.
You only need one. Trevor, it's okay.
Yeah, it's fair.
living proof of that one.
That's
right.
a good point.
I'm kidding. Obviously, from a football standpoint, that's not good. If you're getting hit so hard on a regular basis that you're hurting internal organs, that's a problem. Obviously, yeah. And you're the resident Colts fan. You were you down there during the Andrew Luck era?
Yeah, it was rough because what was it? I think in 2014, like the Colts, that's when they had like that crazy comeback and like the AFC. It might have been the AF. It was like against the Chiefs, and they had a crazy comeback win. That was the year before I got to college. And then I got to college, and they were abysmal because like Andrew Luck got hurt, and then So I am not a Colts fan, I will say, but I like when the city does well, and when the Colts are good, I like it for Indy.
I would say that like of a lot of cities out there in the country. Now, granted, I don't live in any big cities, but I feel like when Indianapolis teams are good, like the whole city's a different vibe. And I don't know that that's the case in a lot of big cities, but for Indianapolis, it is. Like they live and die with their sports teams.
Oh, dude. I mean, when the Pacers went on their run 2 years ago, the city was electric. It was so much fun. Like, watch parties all around, because Indianapolis it's not like a New York where there's like multiple professional sports teams to root for within the city.
Right.
Like, depending on where like my sister lives in New York City, and it's like, depending on where you live, you're either, a Mets fan or a Yankees fan or a Jets fan or a Giants fan or a Nets fan or a Knicks fan. And so like with us here, it's like when the Pacers are doing well, there's people walking around in Pacers gear that look like they've never played a snap or a minute of sports in their lives. But it's just awesome for the city. It's great.
Oh, and when they hosted the Super Bowl and they're walking around with the white and blue scarf, like that was like a badge of honor, because that meant you were kind of part of the whole thing. And it's just a different feeling when Indy sports are doing well. It's just, I don't know, just a feeling.
Yeah, it's great. I'm with you.
All right. Another one from Pat Tillman deserves a day. Best sports commercials. Buy one, sell one, hold one. Randy Moss, Jason Williams, County Roads. Peyton and Eli Manning, Wet Willie. Or Jordan versus Bird, the Big Mac commercial. All right. First of all, I don't even know what the Randy Moss, Jason Williams, County Roads one is. I don't even know what that is. The Wet Willie one from the Mannings was an ESPN commercial. It was one of those Sports Center commercials. Yeah. Jordan versus Bird, Big Mac, like I can do anything you can do better kind of a thing. Like that set the standard for athletes in commercial. Like that one was legit. That's my buy. It's not close. Since I know the Peyton Manning, Eli Manning one, and I don't know the other one, I'll hold that one and I'll sell the Randy Moss, Jason Williams one.
We have the exact same order. The Jordan Bird Big Mac commercial was awesome. Like
so good.
Yeah, dude. It was
if we didn't get demonetized for showing it, I would show that commercial just to remind everybody how great it was. I'm serious. So good.
I get it. No, I get it, man. I'm with you.
So we just got a notification from our buddy Brian Driscoll that Darian Prescott has committed to Notre Dame. He is a class of 28 defensive end out of Bolingbrook, Illinois, 5-star, third commit in the 28 class. I believe he's like 6'3", 255 pounds. So he's a dude. And we have everything that you need to know about Darian Prescott. There's a video that just got published about his commitment. There's also a podcast that just got published about his commitment, as well as all kinds of articles over at irishbreakdown.com. So once we're done with the show, you guys can head over there, check out those videos, check out those articles, and all of that fun stuff. He's not 6'6", USMA 87. There's no chance he's 6'6", but people have said that. But he's not that tall just yet. But anyway, go check out all of that over at Irish Breakdown. We got you covered in every way, shape, and form. So we'll have, like I said, a YouTube video that just got published, an audio version of that just got published, and then all the writing and the class impact and all of those fun things as well. So go check it out, but not till we're done, because we got a lot more to go here. From BK's last brain cell, Cam Williams will take advantage of Porter not being full go and will take 50% of the boundary snaps weeks 1 through 4 at minimum.
I'll be positive today. I'll hope by it. I
Yeah.
think a Cam Williams breakout would do wonders for this offense because he has a skill set unlike the other players in the room. He's height, weight wise, he's a little bit bigger than like Mylan Graham and Jaden Greathouse, but he's probably one of the fastest overall players on the team. So it would do wonders, but I don't know when Quincy Porter is going to be full go. We'll know here in about a week of what that starts to look like for him. But again, with Cam Williams, some of my hesitation is like last year I thought Cam Williams was going to take advantage of Malachi Fields not being here until the summer and fall camp. And it's just, that's where I'm at with Cam. Anything that we get from him this season is going to be gravy.
Yeah.
But I'll be positive and I'll hope by it.
I'm a big Cam Williams fan. I think he's got a lot of talent. I've seen him do some pretty amazing things at practice. He's just not consistent enough. I'm going to sell it, but it's only a sell because I think Micah Gilbert is more poised to take those snaps. And Micah Gilbert has been more consistent. He's been in games. He's scored touchdowns for Notre Dame, those kinds of things. He's got, kind of a relationship with CJ Carr already, with that no-look pass at the beginning of last season. He kind of fell off the map. But it's going to be a battle between Cam and Micah, and maybe they each get 50%. But to your point, Porter's going to come back, and I just don't know when. And so he's going to cut into that as well. So I'm just going to sell it because I think Micah Gilbert's better position, but it's literally anybody's game at this point. I think Cam and Micah are going to get the first opportunity. And once they do, who knows who's going to take it. But I'll sell it for now. And I know that sounds negative, but I'll sell it for now. But I think Micah is better positioned.
No, I get it, man. I mean, look, if we fast forward 3 weeks from now and you told me it was one of the three, Quincy Porter, Cam Williams, or Micah Gilbert taking the reps with the ones and dominating the reps with the ones, none of the three answers would surprise me.
Yeah.
None of the three.
Yep.
With you.
Buy, sell, hold. When potential title contenders are mentioned, Miami, Oregon, and Texas should all be grouped together with no leader of the pack, as they are three of very similar.
I'm actually going to sell that. I mean, Miami played for a title last year. So they showed that they could go on the road in the playoffs and pick up a win. They showed that they can play on the big stage against a really good team in the SEC and Ole Miss and pick up a win. And they played for one last year and gave Indiana a game. It's not, I mean, look, if we're being real about it, Miami played Indiana more competitively than what Notre Dame played Ohio State competitively in the national championship game the year prior. I don't love saying it. I'm not a fan of saying it, but that's just how the years played out. So I wouldn't put Miami in that. Oregon, it's every exit that they've had from the playoffs has been emphatic.
Embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, it's so no, I would not. I'm going to sell that because I don't think all three are very similar.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
As much as it pains me to say it.
I get it. From BK's last brain cell, Sam Leavitt will be exposed as overrated and mid-tier quarterback in the SEC. I'm here. I'm going to buy that. Sam Leavitt to me, he's an okay to good quarterback. I don't want to throw shade at Sam Leavitt, but I also think that he was the last quarterback standing for LSU, and so they took him. Like that. That's also how I feel. So, can Lane Kiffin do magical things with Sam Leavitt? Is that possible? Yes. But I wouldn't bet the mortgage on it. So that's why I'm buying this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is tough. I think exposed is a rough, that's an aggressive term. I think he's overrated, but overrated in the sense that I don't think he was the number one portal target in the country.
No.
Last year. Like he's overrated in that sense. I mean, I'm looking where he's at right now in Heisman odds. Yeah, I mean, look, on FanDuel, he has less odds to win the Heisman Trophy than Jade Maeva and Keelan Russell, who has yet to win the job. So, it's hard for me to say, oh, he's ridiculously overrated in certain discussions. I think he's overrated in that he's the best quarterback in the portal and already one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. But Lane Kiffin has also gotten the most out of every quarterback that he's coached. So I buy that he will be, I guess, quote unquote, exposed as overrated, and that he's going to show that he wasn't the number one portal quarterback last year. But I also don't think he's going to be bad this year either. But I could be
Right.
wrong.
Right.
Like, that's where I'm at with it. Because I think when people get into that overrated discussion, it's like, well, they just suck. And it's like, well, no, they just weren't like with Arch Manning last year. Arch Manning played to a level last year where like the preseason hype was overrated, but he wasn't bad in 2025.
Right.
I guess if that makes sense.
Well, and look, to your point, Arch Manning was not a championship level quarterback last year. And I don't think Sam Levitt's going to be a championship level quarterback this year. That's what I'm saying. I think there's a group of people out. Yeah, there's a group of people out there that think LSU can win a title. Right? That moron over at SEC Network thinks that it's a complete bust if LSU's not in the title game this year with Lane Kiffin. This is so stupid, right? Well, Sam Levitt's not the quarterback to get him there, first of all, and they've got some other holes as well. I just don't see that being the case. Now, could they be a 9-10 win team with Sam Levitt at quarterback? Yeah, sure, they could. 10 wins will get them into the playoff. But I don't know that they're going to go very far in the playoff if that's the case. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with Sam Levitt. Like I said, I don't want it to be a Sam Levitt bash fest. Like, that's not my intention. I think he is overrated for what some people think he is as a quarterback, but that doesn't 100%. Mean he's a bad quarterback. So that's where I'm at. It's kind of one of the reasons that I said earlier on in the show that the transfer portal quarterback class this year wasn't great. It wasn't elite, and that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because I'm with you, man. I think all the elite quarterbacks in college football stayed at home. Arch went back to Texas. CJ went back to Notre Dame. Julian Sain went back to Ohio State. Dante Moore's back at Oregon. Malik Washington is back with Maryland. CJ Bailey is back with NC State. Like, you know what I mean? I'm with you completely.
Yeah. Buy, sell, hold. Tommy Carr, not CJ. Tommy Carr will have an equal or better college career than all of the Texas Tech quarterbacks for the next 4 years. Underwood, Knight, and Tagliaferri.
Well, okay, so it's okay. I get where the wording is.
Explain it to me because I don't understand the last part.
Because I was about to say, I was like, Bryce Underwood, Deuce Knight, and Trey Tagliaferri are not Texas Tech's quarterback. So right. BK's last brain cell is saying that Tommy Carr is going to have an equal or better college career than all of Texas Tech quarterbacks and Bryce Underwood and Deuce Knight and Trey Tagliaferri.
Oh, okay. So they're okay. They all have their own category.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, I would have to buy, sell, hold each one of these individually. I mean, Trey Tagliaferri just finished his sophomore year of high school.
Correct.
Like, I have no way to gauge that. The Texas Tech quarterbacks over the next 4 years. I mean, ideally, I'm going to be able to watch Tommy Carr start before I even say he's going to be better than Will Hammond. You know, I mean, I'm going to sell it. I think there's a good chance that Tommy Carr could take over for Michigan this year, but I'm not ready to predict that he's going to have a better college career than the guy that he has yet to beat out yet. If he does, then if Tommy Carr beats out Bryce Underwood, then yeah, I'm comfortable saying that he will have a better career than Bryce Underwood. But with a quarterback like Trey Tagliaferri or like Texas Tech's quarterbacks over the next 4 years, there's a good chance that like Texas Tech's quarterback for the next 3 seasons isn't on the roster yet because I think they're just going to continuously go back to the portal. So like that's just so hard to decide. Like what if Malik Washington jumps into the portal and then ends up going to Texas Tech? That changes this conversation. So I'm going to sell that for now.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. Like I don't want to hope by that Tommy Carr has a great career because that means Michigan is probably pretty good. So there's part of that. I think Tommy Carr is going to be a good quarterback. I think he's got the right makeup and all of those things. A lot of the same things we say about CJ Carr. I think a lot of those things can go for Tommy Carr. I mean, that's just the way it is. I think CJ has better tools than Tommy physically at the moment. You know, maybe that changes as Tommy gets older and things like that. But I believe he was committed to Miami of Ohio before he ended up going to Michigan. So it's a little bit different of a jump there. Whereas CJ Carr was being recruited by the best of the best. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of a difference there. Look, Do I think Tommy Carr could be better than Bryce Underwood? Sure. But a lot of those other comparisons are going to be really tough. And I don't really want to be a Tommy Carr fan. But he comes up a lot in these questions, I feel like, just because of his last name and things of that nature. But look, do I think Tommy Carr is going to have a good career? Yes. But I'm not ready to pit him against all of these other people at the moment. I mean, he's 2 years older than Tagliaferri. Just the head-to-head that we're going to see is Bryce Underwood and Tommy Carr. Do I think Tommy Carr is going to end up being the starting quarterback of Michigan over Underwood eventually? Yes. I also don't think it's going to be this year because they have too much money invested in Underwood.
Yeah.
Item Benami, buy, sell, hold. Notre Dame's recruiting rivals right now are Oregon, Texas A&M, and Miami.
For this year, yeah. I don't know if recruiting rivals are as set like on a year-over-year basis as like on-field rivalries. But yeah, for this year, I would say it's Oregon, Texas A&M, and Miami. But sometimes it's a little different. Like Oregon is losing out on recruits in Notre Dame from a skilled player standpoint. You know, you think of Julius Jones Jr., who committed in the 27 class. He was also taking a look at Oregon. Texas A&M, you know, Notre Dame is rivaled back for. We talked a lot about Caden Henderson, and then Miami, it's players in the trenches. So like it just it depends on a year-to-year basis. But as of right now, yeah, I'd buy that.
Yeah, the only one I would add to the mix there might be Ohio State, but it seems like Ohio State's not necessarily a finalist for a lot of these guys that we've been talking about recently, but they've been in the mix for a lot of these guys as well. So I might add them to the mix. But other than that, I think it's a buy. But again, it does rotate annually. But in how long are all three of those going to be able to hang into the mix? Who knows? How long is Notre Dame going to hang in the mix? Who knows? But I feel like Ohio State is always there. Every once in a while, you see Michigan pop in there. But I feel like those three are always in the conversation for sure. So I'll go ahead and buy that. That's fine. In football today, it doesn't matter if you have a boundary or field wide receiver, and it's just fine to put the best three wide receivers out there. Obviously, not the exact same wide receiver sets, but wide receivers are good enough to play any of those spots. Get open, and CJ will find you.
Buy to a varying degree. I mean, it depends on what type of offensive system you want to run. Like if you're not Mike Denbrock, like I
he
think
wants a boundary. He wants a boundary. Yeah.
Like there's a reason why they went out and got Bo Collins. There's a reason why they went out and got Malachi Fields. There's a reason why they went out and got Quincy Porter. They had Brian Thomas Jr. when he was at LSU. But then, you know, the counter to that is in 2015, Chris Brown was the boundary. Mind you, we're talking about football today. So, I mean, do you need one? Not necessarily. Like talking about like body types, like you don't need a 6'4" boundary. You don't need a 5'11", 5'10" slot. You don't need a 6'1" field guy. But it certainly doesn't hurt either. So like I buy to a certain degree. That's where I'm at with that one. I did.
Yeah, I mean, I buy it. Again, there's a lot of offensive schemes out there where it doesn't matter who your wide receivers are and where you place them, and guys move around all the time. And what we're referring to is Mike Denbrock's offense. He wants a boundary receiver. That's honestly where I'm at. There are a million different ways to run offense. Just like there's a million ways to run defense. You know, it's like saying, do you need a field and a boundary corner? It depends on your defense. Do you need a nose? Well, it depends on your defense. Do you need a Mike linebacker? It depends on your defense. You know, so that's kind of where I'm at with this whole thing. It just depends on what you want to run. At Notre Dame, they want a boundary receiver. That's just is what it is. Could they get away without it though? Yes, they could. But I think in order for Mike Denbrock to run the offense he wants to run, he wants to have a guy in the boundary that stays in the boundary and has boundary traits for his offense.
Yep. I'm with you. They could play left or right this year. I mean,
sure.
We've seen Notre Dame defenses do that before with corners. You know, in Al Golden's defense, you had a Viper and a big end, and now they just play left, right. So you don't necessarily have to have either one, but it just comes down to your preferences scheme.
Yep, and you also have to play to your personnel. Obviously, that's important. Another one from Iden. I was at the playoff game against IU. Miami at Notre Dame this year will be much louder than the IU game. Biggest sell on the planet for me. There's no atmosphere that was better than the IU Notre Dame game in the playoff, especially when Jeremiah Love rattled off that 98-yard touchdown. Like, I just don't see the stadium getting louder than that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm biased, but nope. Sorry.
Yeah, I was also at the IU playoff game. Like, it was rowdy. I mean, I would like to hope that environment would be louder because of what you said, Vince, of like, I just don't know how an environment could get louder. It'd be nice if we, in the
Sure.
post-game show, are able to sit down and say, dude, that stadium was cooking.
Yeah.
But that's going to be hard to top.
Yes, it is. Yes,
that is going to be very hard to top.
Yep. Let's see here. Another one from my den. The best 28 quarterbacks are off the board. That's your opinion. But Notre Dame is in a pretty good spot because the other quarterbacks like Proc and Tagliaferri are average quarterbacks, and Notre Dame can find someone better than just good. So I feel like you said two different things in there. Yeah. I think that they can find somebody better than Proc. I think they can find somebody better than Tagliaferri. I don't know that the best ones are off the board just yet. Guys, like those guys just finished their sophomore years. There's guys to be had. I'll just leave it at that. I think there's guys to be had. So I sell the first part, I buy the second part.
Well, there's such a long way to go until the 2028 recruiting class signs. I mean, they didn't have a quarterback in the 25 class because of the Deuce Night Chronicles. Until Blake Hebert didn't flip until like October, November of 2024.
It was late.
Like, I remember doing his commitment show with Brian like late into the regular season. So like there's such a long way to go here, Iden. I mean, there could be, keep in mind, they just finished their sophomore years of high school. There could be a guy right now that's like a 3-star that the staff might have their eye on that just blows up and becomes a top 250 kid overnight. Yep. Like, we just don't know. It's such a ways away.
Another one from my den. The Notre Dame team will win the Broyles Award, Thorpe, and Joe Moore Award. So Broyles is best assistant coach on either side of the ball. And Thorpe is defense, right?
Yeah, it's best defensive back.
Yep, defensive back, and Joe Moore is obviously offensive line. So you're going to buy or sell that they win all three of those?
I'm selling it strictly because of the Thorpe Award. Like, if Xavier Watts can't win the Thorpe Award and it's going to go to like a DB at like Air Force, I don't know who votes for the Jim Thorpe Award, but historically it hasn't been great. So I'm selling it strictly because of the Thorpe Award. I could see Mike Denbrock winning the Broyles Award, and I could see this offensive line winning the Joe Moore Award. And it's crazy to say that because the most proven star in Notre Dame's roster is Leonard Moore, who should be the favorite to win the Thorpe Award, but that's where I'm at. I just don't think the voters are going to do it justice.
Well, and for me, there's just too many things have to go right to win all three of those. And it's like Tiger Woods of the field. You know what I mean? It's like that's kind of how I feel about this whole thing. I just don't know that they're going to win all three of those. There's going to be a bunch of postseason accolades for Notre Dame. I'm just not ready to say that they're going to win all three of those. So I'll sell it just based on the numbers alone. The Broyles Award is probably the hardest thing to win of all three of these, to be honest with you. But Notre Dame has had winners of all three of these awards at one point or another. But yeah, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think Al Golden won it after the 24 season because I think he gave like his acceptance speech after he took the job with the Bengals.
I believe that's accurate. And I believe Mike Denbrock won it when he was at LSU.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Notre Dame has had Broyles Award winners. I can't remember all of them, but they've had a decent chunk of them in the recent history. But it's just has, again, all three of those happening in the same year, I think is going to be tough. So, are you looking it up?
Yeah, I am. So Al Golden in 24, Bob Diaco won it in 2012.
That's it?
Both defensive coordinators.
Okay. All right. Like I said, I believe Denbrock won it in 22. Does that sound right?
It was probably the 23.
23?
Let me look. He was a semifinalist for the Broyles Award.
Okay.
In 25.
It was last year.
Who won the Broyles Award in 23? It was Phil Parker, the DC at Iowa, but Mike Denbrock was a finalist for it. And then in 22, Indiana's defensive coordinator, No, I'm sorry. The Royals Award winner in 22 was Garrett Riley, their offensive coordinator.
Okay. I stand corrected. He has not won that award yet. So maybe he's due. Maybe he's due. Setting all kinds of team records. He was a finalist last year, semifinalist or whatever. Maybe he needs to win it this year. But all right, buy, sell, hold. Christian Gray will finally have more interceptions this year than dropped interceptions. That's a buy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
didn't know that was even the case.
like
He said
going
he's
back
half
through and watching
joking, but-
film last year. Briante Johnson had a few more dropped interceptions than what Christian Gray had. Now, in 2024, Christian Gray got his hands on a couple of passes that should have been picked off. I didn't see that being an issue of his.
Yeah,
last year.
Yeah, he's got sticky fingers. I like Christian Gray. I think he'll get his due. Hopefully, we're talking about Christian Gray differently. The man has done very good things for Notre Dame, and people just remember him for a couple of games, and it's unfortunate, but that's the life of a corner. From Tyler Ottinger, the gap between Moore and the next best corner in the country is significantly larger than the gap between player A and player B at any other position.
Well, I guess then we have to get into contention of like, what are the other gaps? Quarterback, no, I don't think that there's a clear-cut best quarterback in the country and nobody else is close. Running back, I don't think you can make that case. Wide receivers, one. Like, you have Jeremiah Smith and then who else?
Everybody else, yeah.
Like, Malachi Toney at Miami. Cam Coleman has a ways to go at Texas. I know some IU fans want to put Charlie Becker in that conversation. I'm not putting Charlie Becker in the same conversation as Jeremiah Smith.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I buy that is one of. I would say it's Leonard Moore at corner and then Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver would probably be my two widest gaps. Safety, you could also, even defensive end, like you have Colin Simmons at Texas, but you still have like Dylan Stewart at South Carolina, Clev Lubin at Louisville. Yeah, I'd probably go corner and wide receiver. What do you think, Vince?
I think you rolled through them pretty well. I mean, there's offensive linemen maybe out there that I'm unaware of that maybe there's a gap between 1 and 2, but I can't think of anything that's significant. I think the wide receiver one is legit. So I would sell this because of the wide receiver gap, and I think it is significant. But let IU fans have their fun. It's fine.
We're rolling here on the Irish Breakdown Podcast, brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. We have buy, sell, hold going on today. Getting us kicked off here in this part, we actually have a couple of super chats in here, Vince. First one from Riley Erdman.
All right. Thanks for the super chat, Riley. Appreciate you very much. He says, buy, sell, hold. Notre Dame gets 2 championships in the next 5 years. ND has 10 more years of a drought, or Notre Dame wins 4 championships in 10 years, making Freeman a GOAT.
Well, I'll answer this in 2 different parts. In what I want to happen and what I think will realistically happen. Regardless of which one I'm answering, I'm selling Notre Dame has 10 more years of a drought. Legitimately, I don't see that happening. And I also don't want that to happen for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to happen is Notre Dame wins 4 championships over the next decade, making Freeman a GOAT. And then I would hold Notre Dame gets 2 championships in the next 5 years. Having said that, what I think actually happens is I think Notre Dame gets 2 championships in the next 5. Because the farther you get down the road here, I said I was done talking about this year, but a decade away, that's when it gets tough to predict. Like, yeah, Freeman will still be in South Bend in 2037. Like, I have no idea if that's going to be the case. I hope it is.
Right.
I hope he's a lifer. But I'm pretty confident in saying he's going to be here for the next 5. And while Marcus Freeman is in South Bend, their championship window is wide open, especially with what they're doing on the recruiting trail right now. So what I want to happen is that order. What I think will happen is Notre Dame gets 2 championships in the next 5 years, and then I would hold they win 4 over the next 10. And I'm absolutely selling in both scenarios. Notre Dame has 10 more years of a drought. Another super chat in here from Daniel Burns.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate you. Just got our first 2028 5-star a few minutes ago. That is accurate. And Darian Prescott out of Bolingbrook, Illinois. He's a defensive end in the 28 class. He's a 5-star. He's the 3rd commitment in the 28 class. And, of course, we break it all down over at irishbreakdown.com, as well as on our YouTube channel and on our podcast platform. So check it out. Brian and I did that show, and it's very good, if I do say so myself.
I believe you.
Yeah, there you go. Domer since birth, buy one, sell one, hold one, over, push, under on 36.5% chance Henderson signs with Notre Dame.
I'll be optimistic and buy over. I will sell under and I'll hold push, I suppose. I guess to be optimistic.
Push is tough on a percentage of something happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, do I think the percentage is a little higher than 36.5%? Sure. So I'll buy that. I think they're going to work on him nonstop over the next 5 months, and hopefully he comes to his senses and does the right thing. But that's not always going to be the case, and I'm sure that Texas A&M will keep up in the ante, literally and figuratively, and they're not going to go down without a fight either. So I think 30, a third is a good place to put it. 33%, 36%, whatever. It's a random 36.5% number. But I'll take the over and I'll sell the under. Buy one, sell one, hold one. Assuming present day landscape, Marcus and Pete Bavacqua are still at Notre Dame. 1 Notre Dame natty by February 1st, 2027. 2 natties by February 1st, 2031. Or 4 by February 1st, 2036. Similar to the last question.
I was just about to say, look, folks, I don't know. I'm buying that they are going to be here and they will both want to be here and for the duration that they want to be here. And I know that's such a cop-out answer, but I don't know when either of them are going to leave. I do know that at some point they will leave, but I couldn't tell you when that's going to be. I don't have any reason to believe that's going to be anytime soon. I can't tell you what's going to happen on February 1st of 2036. I'm focused on what's going to happen on July 28th of 2026, let alone what's going to happen on February 1st of 2036. So I'm going to buy all of them because I hope that they're there for the duration of all of these championships. I would love to see Marcus Freeman and Pete V get 4 over the next decade. I would love, but I think it was Chief Brody in the chat just said, I want to get 1. Once they get 1, we can start talking about, okay, like road to the next one and run it back and all that. But that's where I'm at with this one, man. I have no idea how long they're going to stay here for, and I hope it's for a very long time.
Trevor, I have 5 children. By February 1st of 2036, I'll be an empty nester. I'm not willing to look that far into the future when you're in the trenches right now. So that's where I'm at. 2036, that's 10 years from now. That's just something I'm not prepared to look for. Look, do I think Notre Dame's going to have a national championship between now and then? Yes. Do I think they'll have a couple? I hope so. But at the same time, I don't know. I hope so. If you'd have told me when I was 7 years old and Notre Dame won it when I was 7, and if you'd have told me by 2026 Notre Dame will have 0, 2, or 8 national championships, I'd have been like 8. They're gonna have 8 in 40 years. Come on. So obviously I'm being sarcastic to a degree, but I wouldn't have said Notre Dame hasn't won one since 1988. So there is that.
Yep, agreed. Said you'd be an empty nester by when? 2036?
Yeah.
Look at you. More time for you to come down to Indy.
Let's put it this way. My youngest will be able to drink alcohol by then. So that's something I am not mentally nor physically prepared for. So
yeah, that is totally fair. My unborn son will be 10. Exactly. I couldn't tell you what's going to happen in February of 2036.
This is what I'm saying.
Actually, I think it'd be 9.
Well,
whatever.
To your point.
Point being,
yeah, to your point, he would be 9. But yeah, I'm not ready to go down there yet. Domerson's Burt, buy one, sell one, hold one. Miami's, BYU, or IU schedule difficulty.
I'm for sure selling Miami's. I know
theirs is very similar to Notre Dame's. I mean, if we're being honest. So but I heard nothing about their schedule from a negative standpoint. Nothing.
I'm looking at Indiana's right now compared to BYU's. So BYU at home gets Utah Tech, Arizona, Iowa State, Notre Dame, Arizona State, Baylor, Cincy. And on the road, they get Colorado State, TCU, UCF, Utah, Kansas. Indiana at home, mind you, they have 8 home games. has North Texas, Howard, Western Kentucky, Northwestern. They don't go on the road until the first weekend of October, where they travel to Rutgers. And then they are on the road against Nebraska, back home against Ohio State, then on the road against Michigan, home against Minnesota, bye week, home against USC, at Washington, home against Purdue. So I'm for sure selling Miami's because that schedule is not great. Now, BYU schedule is harder than Miami's.
Yeah.
Like, because they both play Notre Dame.
So
and I will even give Miami a slight bump because they play Notre Dame on the road, whereas BYU gets Notre Dame at home. But then who is the Arizona State or who is the Utah of Miami's schedule? Are you hoping for a Clemson turnaround? Is it Wake Forest? I don't know who that would be. So I'm selling Miami's. I will probably buy BYU and hold IU's. It's probably the order I would go.
As far as like buying being the hardest one and then selling being the easiest one, right? Okay. Yep. The IU one is tough. They do have Ohio State on there, which is obviously a tough game. They do have Michigan, who people think are going to be in the neighborhood of tough. Washington, at Washington, I believe is accurate, right? They're at Washington. Yep. That's going to be a tough game going all the way out to Washington, right? I mean, overall, I'm not overly impressed with IU's schedule, but it's okay. It's okay. So yeah, I agree with your analysis on that one. I think it's good.
Having 8 home games is kind of the kicker for me between.
Yeah. 8 home games and 3 of those are the biggest cupcakes on the planet. Yeah, exactly. Buy one, sell one, hold one. Texas, Florida, Illinois will have the most 2028 signees for Notre Dame football.
I mean, off the rip, this is definitely a better question for Brian because I don't know what the board looks like in any of these states.
The board's wide open, man.
But off the top of my head, I'd probably buy Florida, hold Illinois, sell Texas. I mean,
they're doing work in the Chicagoland area. I mean, that's obviously why Illinois is going to be your hold, which I totally understand. But they've been making a lot of inroads in Florida lately. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
A lot of their assistant coaches and like position coaches are from Florida as well. I think like Sean Shivers is from Florida. Javon Codlin's from Florida. I think Aaron Henry and Brian John Marie are both from Florida. I held Illinois just because I know the level of talent. I mean, they just got a 2028 recruit out of Illinois and Darian Prescott. So, and then Texas, it's like what they get like 1 or 2 Texas kids a year.
Yeah, on average.
So that's the order that I'm going in, but
I like
Brian can answer that differently.
Yep, I like it.
Thanks, man.
No problem. Burnout 85. My premise is that a team that reaches its potential is more satisfying to watch than one that underperforms. Well, yeah, I agree. So buy, sell, hold. The following teams did not reach their potential and made for a satisfying watch/follow from the past 20 years.
Okay, so buying means that they reached their potential. Selling means that they did not. Hold is more of a, I don't know.
So buying means they either reach their potential or they overshot, I guess is the best way to put it.
And hold, I guess, would be somewhere in between.
I guess it's kind of just a buy or sell for me. It feels like, but I'll start it off. 2005, they were better than I thought they were going to be, and I think they were better than a lot of people thought they were going to be. So that's a big buy for me.
I'm actually going to hold 2005, and I hate to get this started off with that, but outside of every game minus the Michigan State home loss in overtime, that team reached its full potential, in my opinion. Year 1 to Charlie Weiss, that was a bad loss. It was your home opener after 2 massive road wins against a ranked Pitt team and a ranked Michigan team. But outside of that, that's the only reason why I'm holding it. But if I had to just pick one of buy or sell, I would buy 2005. What about 2012, Vince?
Well, I mean, they went to the national championship game, and you can say that everybody would be disappointed that they didn't win that national championship. But if you thought that Notre Dame was going to win the national championship, you weren't paying very close attention. So 2012 was a ride. Like, it was, the Stanford goal line stand, and, some of those games were close. There was a lot of really close games that year. That team overachieved. That team was fun to watch. I distinctly remember watching those games. So yeah, I mean, that's a buy. 2012 is definitely a buy for me.
Yeah, 2012 is definitely a buy. I mean, dude, it was, first of all, it was the most Notre Dame schedule that you could have put together. Like in one season, you had USC, Miami, Michigan, Michigan State, Purdue, Navy. You had your big game against Oklahoma on the road. That schedule was awesome. But I'm absolutely buying that because after losing Harrison Smith and Michael Floyd, they went undefeated in the regular season. I mean, that team absolutely reached its full potential. What about 2015?
So now we're getting into some different situation. I'm going to let you start on 2015.
Oh, it's a definite sell. They should not have lost to Clemson on the road. They should not have lost to Stanford in the final game of the year.
No, that was
Brian
horrible.
Van Gorder is a massive reason as to why that team did not reach its full potential. A team that had an 1,000-yard running back and CJ Prosise, had Will Fuller, two very, very good quarterbacks in Zaire and Kaiser. Defensively, you had Isaac Rochelle and Romeo Okwara and Cole Luke and Kavari Russell and Elijah Shoemake, Jalen Smith. That team went 10-2 in the regular season. Yeah, that's a sell for me.
I agree. Sell on 2015. I think he makes some really good points. I agree. 2018 is an interesting one. You start with one quarterback, you transition to another one. This was not even arguably Ian Book's best season in a Notre Dame helmet. And I wish they could have built on that from his perspective and progressed him along a little bit better because 2018 was a fun season to watch because of Ian Book and because of Brandon Wimbush and because of all of it. 2018 is a buy for me, believe it or not, even though, the postseason was a disappointment. But 2018 is actually a buy for me.
Whenever you go undefeated in a regular season, it's hard to say that you didn't reach your full potential because that is such a hard thing to do week in and week out in college football. So 2018 is a buy for me. It ended on a sour note, but Brian's told the story before about, how he's heard from Clemson assistant coaches that it was like the team to beat that year for Clemson was Notre Dame. Like the coaching staff was like, hey, if we can beat Notre Dame, we can win a title. And that was the team that they had to get through just because of how they matched up with them. They were more concerned about Notre Dame than they were about Alabama that year. So 2018 is a buy for me. 2020 is actually a definite buy for me.
Really?
I think that was the best coaching job that Brian Kelly ever did. I mean, you had games that were getting canceled randomly, and then you get your team ready to play or get your team ready to travel, and the game gets canceled because of COVID. Your wide receivers that year were a banged up Javon McKinley and Ben Skoranek. I think that team absolutely lived up to its potential because, an undefeated regular season, first year in the ACC, you play for the conference title and make the playoffs. If you would have just shown me that roster on paper and said that they were going to go undefeated, play for the ACC title, and then make the playoffs, I don't know if I would have believed you.
That's fair. I think some things went their way, obviously, with, Trevor Lawrence not being able to play in the first Clemson game that they played. I think if he plays, it's a different conversation, not to mention the other defensive players that didn't play in that game. So I think they caught some breaks. I agree with you that it was a good coaching job by Kelly for sure, because there was just everything that happened that season was something that you can't predict. It was just twist and turn and everything else. I mean, my initial instinct was to sell 2020 because nothing good happened in 2020, at all, start to finish. But Notre Dame going undefeated was a positive. There's no doubt about that. But it was a very frustrating season to cover with access and, lack of and all of these different things. And excuse me, having to cover games from the stands, just a lot of weirdness to that season, which was a real pain in the butt. But that has nothing to do with the way the team played. So I'll buy it. I'll be a nice guy and I'll buy it, even though everything surrounding the 2020 season sucked. It was awful. So, but it's not about me, as I've been told many times. So I'll go ahead and buy 2020. 2024 is about the easiest buy on the planet for all of these, in my opinion. The NIU loss obviously was terrible, but every point from that spot on was amazing. And being able to go on the ride of that playoff, like the first playoff ever, going on that ride with that team and everything that they had to go through. And it was an epic ride. Of course, you would have liked to cap it off with a national title, but that team overachieved. Like that team overachieved, in my opinion, overall, even with all the injuries and everything else. That's a huge buy for me.
It's a buy for me as well because of what you just said, the injury piece, the fact that you lose before the playoffs, like the bulk of the play. Like, look, respect to IU in the first year of Kurt Signetti. They were not beating Notre Dame with or without Boubacar, with or without Riley Mills, with or without Benjamin Morrison, with or without Jordan Botello, with or without Charles Jagasaw. Indiana was not going into South Bend and beating Notre Dame that night. They weren't. But once you get into the bulk of the playoffs and you factor in who all they didn't have, I mean, even their starting running back was on basically one leg.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, that team overachieved. Now, the only other thing that I would have liked, like where I hesitate to say reached its full potential, is I think they could have played Ohio State a little harder. They were the better team that day. But I don't know if at one point they were 31-7 better. That's just me. There's things that we can go back and dive into on film. But that doesn't sway my answer in the overall season.
I would have loved to see a healthy Notre Dame go up against Ohio State, though.
Oh, same. I mean, just a healthy Notre Dame, or just like a more well-executed Notre Dame. There were plays in that game that were just missed from lapse of execution. But we're playing the what-if game, and what we know is Ohio State was a better team that night.
Yeah, they were.
All-encompassing in the season overall, yeah, they lived up to their potential, even with the NIU loss.
Such a fun season. I want that back so badly. I want another playoff run so badly.
Dude, that's why this offseason has felt so long. I mean, the season ended in November.
Right, exactly.
And the last game that we covered was the live show for Stanford. I would not have complained about it as much as I did with it being a 10:30 p.m. kickoff. If I would have known that was going to be my last time watching Jeremiah Love in a Notre Dame uniform, believe me.
I know. But it's also 2024 is also why I will always be a proponent of the playoff, because that was unbelievable. Being on that ride with that team was unbelievable. And if you're telling me that expanding allows it to even last a little bit longer, sign me up. I'm here for it.
It's just one of the seasons that like you talk to your kids about, you talk to your grandkids about.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like how people on the boards, or how, like, you know, you or Brian or Sean Davis, when we're sitting down talking ball, you're talking about 89 Notre Dame and 93 Notre Dame. Like, that is how I will talk about 2024 Notre Dame.
Yep. Really good question. Appreciate that one. That was a lot of fun. All right. From No Holds Barred. At some point, conferences will control or cap team NIL, or possibly have all teams share in a pool of NIL. And that would be just another reason independence is the best route.
So I don't think conferences are going to cap a team's NIL. That's what the revenue share model was for. Like, I just don't think that conferences would do that, because I think that would more so handicap some of their top teams than it would others. If there's going to be a cap in NIL, I think that would come from the powers that be, not Tony Petitti or Greg Sankey or any of those guys. Like, I don't see that happening. So it's a sell for me.
Completely agree. There's no way that the Big Ten takes the competitive advantage out of the hands of the Michigans, the Ohio States, the Oregons, and, you know, tries to make it an even playing field with Rutgers. It's just never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Could there be a cap in place by the NCAA, or if they all break away, you know, and they have this power conference situation where there's 50 teams, let's say, could there be an NIL cap for those 50 teams? Okay, I could see that, you know, but I don't see it being a conference decision at all. So that's a huge sell for me. With Darian Prescott picking Notre Dame, it's not hyperbolic to say it could easily kick off a Saban-like streak of domination.
I mean, if you're talking on the recruiting trail, sure. If you're talking like as a program, I hope.
I'm not ready to say it yet, though.
But like, I don't want to come off as the pessimist, guys. But like, I want Notre Dame to go win a national championship first before I start talking about because they got this really, really talented 2028 defensive end who is an amazing add to this class that Notre Dame is going to go win 7 of the next 15 national titles. Because that's basically what Nick Saban did.
Yep.
I know they're one of the favorites right now to do it on FanDuel, and I hope that comes to fruition this season. But I'm not ready to say it's about to be Nick Saban. If we're talking on the recruiting trail, fine. Because Alabama strung together some crazy defensive line classes in back-to-back years, and that helped fuel their run. So no holds barred. I don't think that you're like crazy for saying it. But whenever we start talking about the national championship conversation with Notre Dame, I got to see them get one first before I start talking about a Nick Saban-like streak or the best that Notre Dame has seen that's just where I'm at, man. That's so difficult to predict.
Yep, completely agree. I'm not ready. Like, could it be a Nick Saban like recruiting? Yeah, okay, I'll buy that part. But other than that, I've got to be. It's a hold. It's a strong hold. Let's put it that way. Now, what was one of the key ingredients to Nick Saban's run, winning all those national titles? Look, it was dominance on the lines. There's no doubt about that. Is Notre Dame heading in that direction right now? Yeah, they're heading in that direction, but it's more than just that. And I'm not saying that Nick Saban couldn't have dominated, in this era of college football, but he didn't have to win 4 games in the playoff to win those national championships either, Trev. Now, could he have? Sure. But at the same time, he had to win 1 game. 1 game to win a national title. 1. It's a lot different than winning 4 or 3. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, that's fair.
No holds barred, the best linebacker. Oh, excuse me. I don't know why I'm saying linebacker. The best blockbuster movie that is still underrated. 1, A Star is Born, Bradley Cooper version. 2, Tombstone. 3, Lawless.
Real quick, No Holds Barred also went on to say they were talking more D-line recruiting, not like winning titles. So that you're onto something there. Like that's
yes. I'm there.
So with you there. This one's I have not seen A Star is Born, the Bradley Cooper version. So I just right or wrong, I didn't really have the desire to. Tombstone is still on my watch. About once a week, Brian has asked me if I've watched Tombstone yet, and I have not yet. It's being added to the list of things to watch.
Fair.
So that's where I'm at. So because I enjoy my job thoroughly, I'm going to buy Tombstone, even though I have yet to watch it. I'll hold Lawless and I'll sell A Star is Born. I've just never had the desire to watch it.
I've never seen Lawless. So I have no idea what that movie is, to be perfectly honest with you. I've seen the other 2. So just on that alone, I will buy Tombstone, I will hold A Star is Born, and I will sell Lawless. Now, Star is Born was watched because I have been married for over 20 years. So it was good. It was good. It was good. Tombstone's not even close, so much better. But yeah, that's my order. From Poe Welch, here we go. Mike Elko is about to regret being a used car salesman and lying about Marcus Freeman to get a recruiting advantage.
I don't know if he'll regret it, but all I know is you got to at least start. You have to score at least 1 touchdown in a playoff game before you can start talking about what coach is leaving what job. That's all I'm saying. Will he regret it? I have no idea, because it's not like Texas A&M is on like Notre Dame's schedule this upcoming season. But if they meet in the playoffs, if Texas A&M makes it, I would not want to be an Aggie.
Yeah, I mean, he may regret it sooner than later if certain people decide not to go there. That could be a thing, but yeah, not a good idea to put things out there that aren't true, especially when they can be proven untrue very quickly. So I'll buy it from that front. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. Buy, sell, hold. The unproven tight end surprised people this year.
It's actually a buy for me. I'm actually pretty high on this tight end room because I think they're going to be able to attack you by committee. Like, I think we've gotten pretty spoiled as Notre
Yeah.
Dame fans, which is a good thing, over the level of tight end play that we've seen. I mean, what, over the last 20 years? I mean, when you think of the chain that Anthony Fasano started to now. But I think this year it'll be more so by a committee than it will be just like one guy dominating everything. So, yeah, I'll buy that. I think they can attack you in multiple different ways. I think a lot of people will appreciate the tight end play more, especially if they hop onto like the boards at irishbreakdown.com and watch stuff like the Upon Further Review. Talk a lot about the tight end usage in the run game. But if you're expecting, and I'm not saying this is you, Poe, I'm just saying in general, if somebody thinks that like Notre Dame is going to have a tight end this year that has 50 catches for 700 yards and 6 touchdowns, like I think you'll be mistaken. Not impossible, but I'm just not willing to predict that. But I think as a room, they're going to surprise some people this year, so I buy it.
Yep, I'm with you. I buy it. I think people's panic over the tight end room is unjustified. I think I don't think it's going to surprise people that are really paying attention, but I think it's going to surprise the average fan who doesn't think that there's talent there. All right, buy, sell, hold. The D-line have one player with double-digit sacks and another that nearly gets to double-digit sacks.
I'll actually buy that as well. I would be surprised if Boubacar doesn't get at least 10 sacks this year, especially if Notre Dame plays 15, 16 games. That would shock me.
Yeah.
And especially if they play 15 to 16 games, I would expect one of Bryce Young or Keon Keeley or one of those players to get at least 1 sack every 2 games. So, yeah. I mean, or shoot, if Kingston comes back healthy, it wouldn't surprise me if he got 8 sacks.
Sure.
This year. I mean, what did he have? What was the most that he's had? Let's see. The most he's had in a season. So he had 3 sacks last year and missed the final, game and a half. And obviously we've talked about how much more disruptive players like Kingston and Drake and Jaden Osbury got as the season went on. I mean, if Kingston, even if he misses the first 3-4 games coming back from injury, he still has the opportunity to play 12 games. I could see a world where he gets close to that number. So, yeah, that's a buy for me.
Let's see. There we go. Irish English, week 0 score predictions. Buy them, sell them, hold them. TCU 35, North Carolina 27. USC 49, San Jose State 13, NC State 24, Virginia 20, Stanford 34, Hawaii 24.
Where is the NC State Virginia game? I'm looking right now. Okay, I'm selling the NC State Virginia game. Dave Dorn has to show me they can win on the road. It's at Virginia.
Okay.
I mean, last year they lost, let's see. After winning their first game on the road against Wake Forest by 10, they lost the rest of their road games last year. They lost to Duke on the road. They lost to, obviously, Notre Dame on the road. They lost to Pitt on the road, and they lost to Miami on the road. So they have to prove to me that they can win on the road with, honestly, less skilled talent at the on offense this year. I'm also going to sell the Stanford score. I think that they beat Hawaii. I just don't see a world where they score 34 points.
It's at home for Stanford, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they have a good record at home. I mean, last year they went 4-2 at home. For as bad as their season was, they went 4-2 at home. The problem is they just went 0-6 on the road, I believe. So that ain't great.
I'll tell you what, the week 0 slate is very sad.
Yeah.
That's as I'm looking at all the other games that are going on that particular weekend. On Saturday, August 29th, you've got the games that are listed here, obviously, but you've also got Jacksonville State, North Dakota State. You've got Sacramento State in their inaugural game in the MAC with Eastern Michigan, and New Mexico State at Florida State, and Memphis at UNLV. Like, that's your week 0 slate. Wow. And the sad thing is we'll all tune in because we're all deprived of football right now. Those are going to be some rough games.
Brother, at this point, I will go watch any level.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like they are serving up garbage in week 0, and we'll all be tuned in.
Yep.
That's the sad part.
As far as like if we're just talking winners, because final score, I mean score predictions, that's tough. I'm definitely selling the final 2 for the reasons that I talked about. I think Stanford wins. I don't think they score 34. I just don't think NC State flat out wins. I'll buy that USC wins, but you will not find a bigger San Jose State Spartans fan than me. I mean, I'm telling you, I will be rooting for San Jose State.
And that game is on NBC, by the way. That game is on network television. In case you were curious, at 3:00 on that Saturday.
Wonderful. And then TCU at North Carolina, I'd buy that.
It's a debate between TCU, North Carolina, and Virginia, NC State are the best 2 games of the day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, I've been nothing but negative towards North Carolina and Bill Belichick, but if he can go to TCU, I'm sorry, it's in Ireland. If he can beat TCU somehow in the first game of the year at noon, everybody's going to be watching. If he can somehow make that happen, that's huge for North Carolina. Huge.
Absolutely.
I would not predict that it's going to happen, but that would be massive if he can make that happen. Massive.
We went through a couple of weeks ago, and Brian brought up a good point in the show that we started diving into. Whichever team has started out their season in Ireland and lost, the wheels came off the entire season. So we'll see if that's in play for whoever. Hopefully they can break that curse, whoever loses.
That's a good point. Father J. Pop, Aeneas Williams comp in 2026. Kyron Williams, 21. Theo Riddick, 12. Amir Abdullah, 12.
I'm selling Amir Abdullah. He had a little bit more wiggle than what I think Aeneas Williams had. Aeneas is definitely like a one cut and go back. That doesn't mean that I don't think that he can't break tackles or make defenders miss. But Amir Abdullah was real shifty. I'd probably buy Kyron because he was also kind of that like one cut and go. He could make people miss just like Aeneas could. But I think their running styles are very similar, and I think impact in the pass game could be very similar. That's why I'm holding Theo Riddick, and then I'm selling Amir Abdullah.
I dig it. I got nothing to argue with you on that one. I think that's pretty accurate. I think Aeneas is gonna have a good year. I'm not on board with the people that think he's about to break out and be the second coming of Jeremiah Love or anything. He's gonna have a good year. But I think he's going to need his Robin. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna need the second guy to help him out. And that's nothing to take away from Aeneas Williams. I think he's super talented. I think he's going to help you in the pass game. He's going to help you in the run game. He's going to do really good things. But I think he needs a competent number 2. And we'll see who that ends up being. But yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, all right. I mean, in a perfect world, it's not even Batman and Robin. It's like Batman and Superman in a perfect world.
Yeah. I'm with you on that completely. Yeah, man. Yeah, and I think to the point of Father J-Pop, I personally am in the Kedron Young camp with that happening as long as Kedron is healthy. So he's looking for a comp here of Audric Estime in 22, Javonte Williams in 18, or Caleb Johnson in 23.
Ooh. I like the Audric comp in 22. Kedron Young is basically a faster version of Audric.
Yeah. Yep.
So I like that comp. The Caleb Johnson comp is both are real strong runners, great feet. Again, I think Javonte Williams brought a little bit more in the pass game than what I expect Kedron Young to have, but it wouldn't. I mean, in the blue gold game ahead of the 2025 season, we watched Kedron catch a couple of wheel routes. So, I mean, I think he could also have an impact in the pass game. But yeah, I would probably buy Audric Estime, hold Caleb Johnson, and then sell Javonte Williams. Probably the order that I would go.
Yeah. Yep.
We got the buy, sell, hold going on here in the Irish Breakdown podcast, brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Really great submissions so far today. Eventful day, Vince. Darian Prescott, 2028 defensive end committed. That video is already up on the Irish Breakdown channel. Brian already has the commitment article story up, so I believe he put that in the chat earlier. I'll go through once I change his card and throw it back in there again for anybody that is just tuning in. But a lot of stuff happening. But we got the buy, sell, hold going on here, man.
Broke Neck Boy, one of my favorite guys, by the way, because he always says I don't look a day over 30. So appreciate him. Buy, sell, hold. 2020 Notre Dame beating 2016 Ohio State.
Oh,
this is tough for me. This requires a memory of college football that Brian has, or more Brian than me. I will say that you have a much better memory of college football than I do as well.
Well, I think I'm gonna sell that. I think Ohio State's offense would have given that defense some problems. That was a very fundamentally sound defense, but they lacked. Clarence Lewis was a starter as a true freshman on that defense. Like Nick McLeod was a corner, and we're talking about a wide receiving core that had Curtis Samuel, KJ Hill, and Paris Campbell and Terry McLaurin. Like that's pretty tough. So I think it would have been close, but I think there would have been a disparaging gap there. And then I also offensive line battles would have been interesting. I think Ohio State's corners would have shut down the Notre Dame receiving core. Your receivers that year, if you're Notre Dame, were who? Javon McKinley and Ben Skoranek, and Ohio State secondary that year was Malik Hooker, Marshawn Lattimore, Garyon Conley, and Damon Arnett. I would not have loved Notre Dame having to pass against that secondary. So I'm going to sell that one.
How about 2021 Michigan beating 2015 Michigan State?
Oh, gosh. 2015 Michigan State. So I think that was the Michigan State team with Connor Cook. Let's see. Yeah, so that team had what year was it, Vince? 2015?
2015, yeah.
Yeah, they had Connor Cook. LJ Scott was their running back. They had McGarrett Kings and Aaron Burbridge as their wide receivers. Max Bulla's brother was their leading tackler. Then that 21 Michigan team had, okay. I'd buy that. Yeah, I would buy that one. What's the next one?
Next one is 2023.
Washington?
Yep, 2023 Washington beating the 2024 Penn State. Isn't that the year Washington went to the
Yeah, that's the year that they had like Michael Penix and Jalen Polk
Yeah.
and Roma Dunze.
I'm taking them over 24 Penn State all day long.
Yeah, I'm buying.
I don't even know that was all that close.
Yep, I'm buying that as well. If Washington's offensive line in that game would hold up, then I think that Michael Penix and that receiving core has a field day.
Yeah,
I'm seeing what their offensive line was like that year. In 2023, Washington's offensive line finished the year 6th in the country in sacks allowed. In 15 games, they only allowed 12. So, yes, I'm buying that. Washington in 23 beats Penn State in 24.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here we go. Some more from Broke Neck Boy. 89 Notre Dame beating 87 Miami. I'm going in the Wayback Machine here.
Based on the stories that I've heard about 1989 Notre Dame, I'm going to buy that. Somebody in the chat can correct me because I'm sure there's people in the chat that remember both 87 Miami and 89 Notre Dame. But I know some people that are willing to contend that the 89 Notre Dame team was more talented than the 88 national championship Notre Dame team. So I am going to buy that one.
That works for me. How about 93 Notre Dame beating 97 Michigan?
I'm going to buy that on the sole principle that I won't ever contend that a Michigan team would beat a Notre Dame team, even though I've seen it happen.
Yes. That's a petty answer, and I'm here for it.
Thank you.
2005 Notre Dame beating 2009 Alabama.
Ooh. That would have been a heck of a game. So Alabama that year had – let's see. My biggest thing is I'm trying to figure out who they had on defense that year. Oh boy. Okay, yeah, they had Rolando McClain, Mark Barron. I think it would have been a high-scoring game because one offense had Brady Quinn, Darius Walker, Jeff Samardzija, Mo Stovall, Anthony Fasano. The other offense had Mark Ingram, Trent Richardson, Greg McElroy was the quarterback, throwing to Julio Jones. So I think it absolutely would have been a high-scoring game, but I'll buy it just because I would like to think that. But in all seriousness, I think it would be close.
Yeah, I think it would be close, but I'll buy it just for fun. Those Bama teams in general were pretty darn good back then, obviously, but I like the 05 Notre Dame team is just selfishly one of my favorite teams since I've been watching college football. So
sure.
He says for fun, 2007 Notre Dame beating 2022 Stanford. This is like a pillow fight situation, is what you're saying.
That would, first of all, that would be a disgusting game. But gosh, 07. I mean, unfortunately, I have to sell it. 22 Notre Dame didn't even beat 22 Stanford, and 22 Notre Dame would beat the brakes out of 2007 Notre Dame. So I think I have to sell it. That's
fantastic.
Now, having said that, the caveat is 2007 Notre Dame beat 2007 Stanford.
That is true.
But what takes the day? I don't know, dude. All I know is
I don't know.
That game would either end up 10-6 or like 45-38. Like, sometimes, like, especially in the NFL, when just two bad teams square off and it goes into overtime and it's 38-35.
Yep.
It would either be that or just no team would want to score points. That would be an ugly game, dude.
Brutal. All right, from Joe Parr. In the 2026 regular season, Notre Dame's wide receivers will have 2,200 yards receiving. Notre Dame's running backs will have 2,500 yards rushing. Notre Dame's running backs will have 500 yards receiving. Receivers means only wide receivers, not tight ends.
Okay, so it's not just pass catchers. So I'm assuming this is a buy one, sell one, hold one.
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, let's see. How many rushing yards did they have as a running back room last year?
Well, they definitely had over 2,000.
Yeah, so last year as a running back room, they had, let's see.
This is in 12 games, obviously.
Right.
I assume he means for the season and not just the regular season. Now, unfortunately, Notre Dame only had a regular season last year.
Yeah, so if we're talking about in the regular season, I think I'm going to sell the 2,500 yards rushing. In the regular season last year, they only had 2,360, and that was with one guy going for 1,372.
Yep, I agree.
And their second guy had 674. So it's not like the first guy went. It's not like Love went for 1,372 and Price had like 300. You know what I mean? So I'm going to sell the running backs. Passing yards wise, like wide receivers all combined, like you got to think some of the numbers that are going to go into that are. Last year Matt Jeffrey had one catch for 37 yards.
Sure.
Elijah Burris had 2 for 21. So like there's just a bigger sample size of receivers that can contribute to that 2,200 number. Last year, despite not having a single guy over 640 yards, they had, 3,061. Love had 280. Price had 87. Then I think outside, Luke Talich had 1 for 84 because that counts.
It absolutely counts.
Last year, their non-wide receiver, or just their wide receivers combined for 2,024. So I'm buying wide receivers. Like I have to believe that with the makeup of this wide receiver room and CJ Carr going into year 2, they account for 176
more yards than last year.
Last year. I just have to believe that.
It's a great point. That's a great point. Because you can talk about if the receiving core was mediocre last year, whatever. If you think they're any better than last year, then that hits. Right? I mean, everybody's talking about, CJ Carr getting over 3,000 yards and all these different things. And if he has over 3,000 yards, the chances of the wide receivers having 2,200 of them are pretty darn good. Which then, to that point, you got running backs with 500 yards receiving on here. It's a great one to hold because somehow that 3,000 needs to be made up somewhere. And if you're telling me that the tight ends have about 300 yards and the running backs have about 5, I could buy that.
Yeah.
And
100%.
you know what I mean?
Well, and like, look, there's people in the chat, which it's a very fair thing to say. It's like, got to see it, which I'm all sorts of on board for. I'm Mr. I got to see it.
Sure.
But I have to believe, like, keep this in mind. Notre Dame's wide receivers last year accounted for like 2,046 receiving yards. Or actually, it was 2,036 receiving yards. And there was a game that CJ Carr finished with 49 passing yards against Syracuse. Like, I just have to believe that this year's wide receiving core in the regular season gets 174 more yards.
Right.
Like, exactly. I don't think a receiving core going for 2,200 yards is necessarily like hyping them up. Like, that's just a natural progression of a quarterback going from year 1 to year 2. And I've been as skeptical of the wide receiving room as any. So I'm with you guys. I got to see it too, but it's not like I bought them to have 3,200 receiving yards. I think that they will actually kind of easily get 2,200.
2,200 is a very conservative number for the wide receivers, really, when you look at it.
Well, especially when we factor in that I don't think any of us are willing to contend that there's going to be a tight end putting up Eli Raridan numbers from last year either.
Right. Yep.
So, like, if we can't in one breath say, well, CJ Carr is going to pass for at least 3,500 yards in the season. And then also be like, but I don't think the wide receivers get to 2,200 yards, and I don't think that there's going to be unless you think the running back room goes for 1,000 yards receiving, which I just died. No. If Jeremiah Love has 280, I don't see Aeneas Williams having 600. But I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could be wrong.
Bobo wants to know if you flip those numbers between rushing and receiving, does it change your answer?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if the running backs only had to account for 2,200 and the receivers had to account for 2,500, I would probably buy running backs. That would change my answer. I would probably buy running backs, hold the receiving yards, and then probably sell the 500 yards receiving for the running back room. That's probably where I would be at.
Nice. All right, from Joe Parr. Which happens first? Texas cancels its home and home with Notre Dame. Notre Dame adds USC to a future schedule, or Notre Dame makes BYU a regular annual opponent.
Which happens first? I buy that Notre Dame makes BYU a regular yearly opponent, hold that Texas cancels its home and home, and I sell that Notre Dame adds USC to a future schedule. In what I think happens first. While Lincoln Riley and Jen Cohn are still there, I just don't see that game coming back until 2030. And I have to imagine that we would know before 2030 if Texas is going to cancel or we get BYU before. So,
yeah, I mean, I think all three of these things could potentially happen at one point or another, but we're trying to decide which one happens first.
Yeah.
I think an agreement between Notre Dame and BYU could happen first. I agree with you on that one. I'll buy that one. I will hold the Notre Dame USC one just because I think Lincoln Riley, if they do what I think it's possible for them to do this year, Lincoln Riley may be out the door at the end of the year. And if that's the case, that could ramp things up a little bit for the USC situation, getting back on Notre Dame's schedule. Because like I said, whoever the new coach is at USC, whenever that does happen, if he doesn't say in his introductory press conference, we need to get Notre Dame back on the schedule, then what are we doing? Like that's where I'm at. If he wants to bring the alumni back into the fold immediately, that's all he has to say. That's all he has to say. You know what I mean? And is there a chance that Lincoln Riley gets canned after this year if he loses all of the ranked games that he plays and things like that? I think USC could get tired of his shtick here real quick. So I'll hold that one, and then I'll sell the Texas cancels its home game with Notre Dame. Moneybag Jake. There we go. Buy, sell, hold. The lies and deception given to Caden Henderson is starting to be broken down, ultimately making a flip to Notre Dame a more reasonable idea.
I'm going to hope by that one. Him joining Roman Igwebike in the class would be absolutely massive. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think it's a definite possibility. I mean, he didn't make his decision solely on that lie or whatever. I think people are making that out to be a little bit bigger of a deal than it is. It's a part of the deal. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, Texas A&M are not going to stop recruiting him just because he's in the class. And so I guess it makes it more of a reasonable idea? Sure, I'll buy that part of it because of the wording of it. But we'll see how things go. Buy, sell, hold, the newish name from yours truly, Money Bag than Dirtbag Jake, and I should find a happy medium.
Sell. I like Moneybag Jake, but if you don't like it, then I don't like it. And so if you'd like to find a new name, then that's where I'm at. If you like it, I love it. If you don't like it, I'm also on board.
I'm on board. I like it. Keep it. Money bags. I think that's good stuff. Money bags.
Moneybag Jake, baby.
Yeah, man. I dig it. Eye on the ball. Buy, sell, hold. Notre Dame's 26 rides on the health of CJ Carr. Buy, sell, hold the next most valuable players with regards to injuries and wins. They are out. We run higher risk of losing games. Will Black, Drake Bowen, Aeneas Williams.
I mean, just from level of importance, I'm going to buy Will Black. I mean, whenever you're starting left tackle, and here's what I love that Joe Rudolph has done. He left Will Black at left tackle for the duration of spring and just kept him there for him to grow. That was one thing that I was worried about. Will Joe Rudolph have the patience to keep Will Black at left tackle for the entirety of spring? And he showed us that he did. You never want to lose your starting left tackle. Having said that, here's where Notre Dame is at recruiting. There's not one of these three positions do I look at this and be like, you lose somebody and you're just absolutely screwed. Like there's a world where Will Black gets injured, you kick Anthony Knapp back out to left tackle because you know what you have there, and then you insert Matty Augustine at left guard. Or Grayson McHugh throughout fall camp shows that he's ready to be a number 2 guy. You know, if you lose Drake Bowen, you never want to lose Drake Bowen. But there's worse situations to be in if you have a room that also consists of Kingston Viliama-Asa, Jaden Ausberry, Jalen Sneed, Madden Faremo. Then same thing with Aeneas. You don't want to lose Aeneas for the season. But, woe is Notre Dame, I guess, if you have to play one of Keedron Young or Nolan James Jr. or Javian Osborne or Jonas Walton. You know what I mean? So I say that sarcastically, but given the choices between the three, I'm buying Will Black, holding Drake Bowen, selling Aeneas Williams. That's where I'm at.
I'm a little bit different. I think that right now, Drake Bowen is the most important guy on your one of the most important guys on your defense and on your team. I think losing him could be tough, especially with the health of KVA being a question mark right now. If you lose him, I think that's trouble. Will Black is obviously an important piece of this offensive line, but we've also never seen him play really either. And so I do think the depth at offensive line is legit. And I think that they could replace Will Black. Will it be an even replacement? No, of course not. Could they replace Drake Bowen? Of course they could, but I think you're going to get a bigger drop off from a replacement of Drake Bowen than you would a replacement of Will Black. Aeneas Williams is always going to be the sell here just because I think it's easier to replace a running back than it is to replace either a left tackle or a middle linebacker. And so I will buy Drake Bowen, I will hold Will Black, and I will sell Aeneas Williams. It's close between my buy and my hold, but I would take Drake over Will.
I think that's fair, especially what you said about the running back position. I mean, Jeremiah Love missed the second half of the USC game, and then they just inserted Jadarian Price, who rushed for 100 yards in the second half.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
BK's personal chef, Notre Dame had perfectly positioned their pitch and culture to be the best team in the country when it comes to depth, acquisition, and retention in the NIL era.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that Notre Dame has to offer people is what the university has to offer. And the thing that we've praised Marcus Freeman about ad nauseum here on this channel especially is the fact that he buys into what makes Notre Dame great. He doesn't use it as a handicap or as an excuse. He buys into the benefits of going to a school like Notre Dame. I mean, he's gone out and said on record before, like nationally, there's just no better place to go to school and play college football than Notre Dame. And the thing that I appreciate about Marcus Freeman is I know he genuinely believes that. And that's not just a recruiting pitch. You know, there's a reason why the retention at Notre Dame year over year is fantastic. You know, I mean, it's not like their retention is good because players don't want Leonard Moore. It's not like their retention is great because people don't want Boubacar or CJ or Jaden Greathouse or, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I absolutely buy this.
Yeah, I mean, this is a buy for me as well. I mean, the proof's in the pudding, right? I mean, with what Notre Dame has been able to do from a roster retention standpoint, from a depth acquisition standpoint in the portal, and what they're doing in high school recruiting, I mean, you can't argue with the fact that they've kind of hit the sweet spot with all of it. And whether it's how they're paying people, how they're selling the university, whatever the case may be, they're right there, and they're getting top quality kids into the university, whether it be through the portal or high school. So this is a pretty big buy for me. I mean, like I said, it's not even my opinion. The proof is in what they're doing on a daily basis. I mean, I feel like I'm doing a commitment show, way more often than I'm not doing a commitment show with Brian. You know what I mean? And so they're bringing talent in. There's no doubt about it. And I think not only are they bringing it in, but it's also being coached up, and we're seeing it on the field as well. So this has got to be a buy. I don't see how it can't be a buy.
100%. And the losses that they've had, for the most part, have been calculated losses.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they've lost a player to the portal where it's like, outside of Josh Burnham, to my memory, has been a player where it's like, whoa, did not see that coming.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Ball, peen, shillelagh, buy, sell, hold. The field, corner, and nickel will see extra balls thrown their way, especially early in the season, as opposing offenses do not want to test our safeties or Leonard Moore and think they'll have better luck elsewhere.
I mean, by default, I think you have to buy this, Vince. I mean, I have no idea what opposing offenses are going to try to do against this Notre Dame secondary. I do not envy them in that. I mean, there's one team, maybe two, but there's one team that I don't think that will be afraid to go at Notre Dame secondary, and that's Miami's. Because if I was in the eyes of Miami's coaching staff, it's like, well, we went against Don Schuler and Leonard Moore and Christian Gray last year. Now, what you didn't go against was Christian Gray at nickel and DJ McKinney to the field and Breonte Johnson at safety. But all things considered, I think that's the one program that won't be afraid to go at Notre Dame. And then the same will be said in the playoffs. I'm not saying that that's correct. But, I mean, I view the same way as a Notre Dame fan. I'm not afraid of any opposing defense Notre Dame is going to face.
Yep.
Like, when you're a top-level program, that should be the mindset that you have. So I'm not saying that is a slight to Notre Dame. It's just when you're a top-level program like that, that should be your mindset. But I buy this because, by default, I can't believe in my mind that teams will test Leonard Moore like they did last year. And I'm certainly not trying to throw to whatever side of the field Breonte Johnson is on. So DJ McKinney, Christian Gray, Dallas Golden, they're going to have their opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be, in proportion to what goes towards Leonard Moore, there's going to be more going towards these guys. I mean, I think that's a given. And guess what? They're going to be ready for it. This is not going to be a giant surprise that they're not going to throw at Leonard Moore. I mean, Leonard Moore is widely considered the best defensive player in college football. Like, teams are going to try to avoid him. Now, there's also going to be quarterbacks that their just natural progression is it might take them over to Leonard Moore, and that could happen. But at the same time, yeah, they're going to be looking towards the other side of the field. I mean, it's just good coaching, frankly. And it's going to allow Christian Gray and McKinney to make plays and do all kinds of things. And then it's going to really put offensive coordinators in a bind because, like, well, these guys over here are making plays. I guess we'll go try the other side of the field. And then I think we're also going to make plays over there. So yes, they're going to get extra balls, but I think it's going to be anticipated and expected by Notre Dame.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't see a world where that doesn't get. I'm with you, dude. I just don't understand last year watching teams try to pick on Leonard Moore the way that they did.
Yeah, agreed. Oh, Ballpeen Shillelagh, here we go. Those offensive coordinators could be wrong, and a fully healthy and confident Christian Gray and DJ McKinney ruthlessly devour balls meant for wide receivers, making Notre Dame secondary the most feared in the nation.
I mean, these OCs would be wrong and a fully healthy and confident Christian Gray and DJ McKinney. Yeah, I mean, I buy that as well. I mean, look, here's the thing. I don't know if – I think that there's this wide – maybe not wide. I think there's this idea amongst opposing offensive coordinators that, like, if it's not Leonard Moore, they're just a bunch of try-hard guys. That's just not the case. I buy this. If teams try to go at Christian Gray or DJ McKinney, I think they make him pay this year. That's where I'm at with this one. I'm
I mean, this is a buy from the fact that I think DJ McKinney and Christian Gray are going to make plays. That's a buy. Doesn't mean the offensive coordinators are wrong. I Offensive coordinators going away from Leonard Moore is always the right answer. That's always the right answer. Now, you still may get burned, but it's always the right answer. So, like, that part of it I don't buy, but I do buy the fact that Christian Gray and DJ McKinney are going to make plays. They're too good not to, and we've seen both of them make plays in big time moments, and so I mean, overall, it's a buy. I understand the concept that Ball Peen is throwing out there, that that they're going to make offensive coordinators pay for that decision,
Yep.
but I don't think it's a wrong decision, if that makes sense.
No, agreed completely.
All right, another one from Ball Peen. Most teams' defensive plan against Notre Dame will flip from last season, except for Southern Cal, daring Notre Dame to run the ball and considering CJ in the passing game the greatest threat.
Buy. I don't think that the running back room is gaining enough offseason attention as they should.
Agreed. Yeah.
It's also understandable. Like
Sure.
I get it, but I also, when you're game planning for a team like Notre Dame, like, what are you going to look at? It's like, okay, given the choice between the two, do we put all of our chips into the Aeneas Williams basket and say that he can't beat us, or CJ Carr, somebody who is the FanDuel favorite to win the Heisman Trophy, somebody who has been considered as one of the top NFL draft prospects in this year's quarterback class? So you're weighing both of those. That's where I would be on that one. So I buy that.
Yeah, and I think that's the right decision to make if you're a defensive coordinator. That's what you should do. You should be trying to take away the best option that Notre Dame has, and that's CJ Carr, which is why Notre Dame needs the run game to be effective. It's why the Notre Dame run game needs to be good to great. We think it will be based on the offensive line and the talent that's in the running back room and all of those different things. There's no doubt about that. But that's why they need that to happen. You can't be a one-dimensional team and be as successful as what people think Notre Dame should and will be in 2026. They need both. And Notre Dame obviously wants to be a line-centered program. They want to run the ball first. That's what they want to be. And that's what they will be, and that's what they will do. And then CJ Carr will burn them over the top. I mean, that's just how it goes. And it's going to be a pick-your-poison situation. And early on, I do believe that they will try to stop the passing game. And I say bring it on.
Without a doubt.
Yep. Another one from Ball Peen. Assisted by opponents' defensive focus, Aeneas and the other running backs and the O-line will prove IB correct in their prediction that the run offense will not have a drop-off in production this season.
Yeah, and I think the biggest factor in this is the improved O-line play. Like, Notre Dame has shown success on the ground, whether teams game plan for it or not. Because, yes, USC was kind of the outlier in wanting to game plan for CJ Carr, not Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, and they made him pay. But there was other teams that knew that Notre Dame was going to try to establish the run, and they still will this year, that they still had success with on the ground. But I think the improved O-line play will definitely reinforce the idea that there will not be any significant drop-off in run game production this year. And honestly, you could make a strong argument that it could be the opposite. In some ways, it could be more efficient on third down, third and short, more first down runs on third down. Who knows? So
sure,
that's where I'm at.
Another one from Ball Peen. Buy one, sell one, hold one. One of these positions does so well, they go top 10 in the draft. Order by which would be a greater impact on Notre Dame's championship chances this season? Safety, linebacker, edge, rusher.
Oh, I'm buying edge rusher, holding safety, selling linebacker. One, because I think that would be the order that we would see, like a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. Edge rusher for sure. Safety, maybe. That's so hard. I mean, Caleb Downs was the 11th overall pick, and he was the best safety in college football last year. So that would be difficult. Linebacker, it's going to be even harder to go top 10 unless you're like a unicorn type. Like Arvell Reese was a linebacker, but I think the Giants are going to be using him as kind of like their version of a Kingston Viliamasa. So that's where I'm at with this one, Vince. But edge rusher, I think, is the clear buy here.
Yeah, edge rusher is the clear buy. And then I think there's a conversation for safety and linebacker. I think having – this is tough because, like I said, having a good linebacking core is key because they're kind of the hybrid between, the back end and the front end. They kind of play both, that kind of a deal. I feel like you can get away with not having great safeties and things like that, but we're splitting hairs as far as I'm concerned from linebacker and safety. But edge rusher is the buy, and it's not close. I'll hold linebacker and sell safety just to be different. But at the same time, I can make an argument for either one. And we know that all three levels of the defense are going to be so good that deciding who's more important and all these different things is just, again, it's such a splitting hairs type of deal. But edge rusher is by far the most important. If they have an edge rusher that they have to double team all the time and is still making plays and is going to go in the top 10 of the draft, like that is a game changing, defense changing situation for any team, let alone Notre Dame.
Absolutely. So, Vince, that's the last of the cards, but there was one, I believe, that was missed in the thread.
Oh,
that was
no.
Mixed in here.
Oh, no.
It is from Joe Allen 72. Buy, sell, hold. The new co-defensive coordinator, Aaron Henry, will actually have a say in what the defense is doing.
Oh, I think he absolutely has a say in what the deal. I'm going to buy that for sure. I think that, Chris Ash was part of that decision-making process. I think Aaron Henry obviously wanted to come to Notre Dame. He expressed interest in coming to the job. He wasn't necessarily sought out for the job, but as soon as he made his intentions known, that it was like, oh, really? Okay, let's have a conversation. I think Chris Ash is definitely more of a, I'm going to take input from other guys as opposed to being like a dictator type defensive coordinator. At least that's the feeling that I've gotten. We hear that there's a really good relationship between him and Charlie Partridge. And, I assume it's the same way with Henry. And so I feel very good about the fact that Henry is going to have a say in what happens on the defense. So I'm going to go ahead and buy that.
Yeah, I'm buying that as well. I mean, Aaron Henry, I believe, is also stepping in as Notre Dame's defensive pass game coordinator there as well. The role that Mike Mickens had last year. So he's absolutely going to have a say. I think this year it'll be definitely a collective effort. Not saying that it wasn't last year, but just the dichotomy between Ash being the defensive coordinator walking into three people who were all returning versus this year where Ash is the returner at the top at defensive coordinator. I think that's something that we could definitely see. So I'm with you there. But Vince, that'll do it, brother.
Yeah, man, that's going to do it for this edition of the Irish Breakdown podcast presented by our friends over at FanDuel. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us for the buy, sell, hold every Monday. It's what we do. Obviously, there was a commitment that was done while we were on the show. Darian Prescott, a 5-star class of 28 defensive end from Bolingbrook, Illinois, committed to Notre Dame. He's the third commitment in the 28 class. We have all the breakdown for you over on our YouTube channel, as well as the podcast, the audio version and all the written stuff over at Irish Breakdown. Of course, you can find all of that at boards@irishbreakdown.com as well. So check it out, dive deep, go watch this film, have some fun with it, be excited about what Notre Dame is doing on the recruiting trail, especially on the defensive front. Lots of good stuff happening over there. And then, of course, we've got the magazine that we're all working on diligently. It's going to be out here before you know it. You got to be a member at boards@irishbreakdown.com if you want to get a copy of that. Like I said, it's 130 plus pages of just so much good stuff. So you definitely want to check that out. Definitely want to be a member. It costs you $0 extra once you are a member of the board. So you definitely want to do that and get that inaugural preseason magazine from Irish Breakdown. It's going to be a collector's item someday, so you're definitely going to want to get your hands on it. It's the first of many. So definitely check that out. We're getting excited about it. We are hoping to publish that thing here in the very near future. So definitely check that out. But we're going to get out of here. We're going to go work on said magazine. And that way we can get it out to you that much faster. So thanks for hanging out with us on a Monday. Appreciate it very much. For Trevor, I'm Vince. We will talk to you next time on the Irish Breakdown podcast presented